All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for pulling up. We are about to break this Nolan Wells update down. We are about to break this thing down. And yesterday, an interview was released of Nolan Wells' friends sitting down, not just Warren, sitting down with Officer Tatum, Brandon Tatum, and they brought their big mega attorney. And when I tell you he was a spitfire, he was a spitfire, and he came out the gate swinging. And he somewhat issued a threat to those of you that are tuned in, those of you that publicly believe that the boys may or may not have been responsible. And he says, now is your time to apologize because we're coming for you. And I kind of thought, the audacity. So you mean to tell me you're about to go after all of America? Because I'm going to tell you this, sir. A lot of us don't believe the stories are adding up. And not only that, when I tell you this interview was huge, here's why I say it was huge. Did this new interview just implicate Wyatt and Bart? Did you hear the attorney make it very clear that the lines in the sand have been drawn? Y'all, the boys, it's all starting to fall apart. It is all starting to fall apart. There's a line that has been drawn in the sands. The boys are starting to split up. You have Warren. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me make sure I got everybody right. You have Warren. You have Jax, and you have Morgan. And I'm like, well, who in the hell is Morgan? How did Morgan get into this? And I have no idea yet. But I know one thing, the attorney was very clear. The attorney said, I can tell you beyond a reasonable doubt. I can tell you that I am more than confident that Morgan, Warren, and Jax had nothing to do with Nolan Wells' death. I can tell you beyond a reasonable doubt that these three boys here are innocent. They had nothing to do with it. And I said, oh hell no. I said, wait a minute. Whoa. So these three boys, Warren, Jax, and Morgan, are being represented by Edward Pautisik. I hope I'm saying his name. Pauzik. Child. So they're being represented by Donald Trump's former attorney. And that leaves Wyatt and Bart on their own. They're distancing themselves from Wyatt and Bart. They have their attorney who's willing to stand 10 toes down to say, we ain't got nothing. These three boys, that's exactly what he said. These three boys ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Prom King said, and Wyatt ain't said a thing. Well, did you know? Watch this. Because I found something that's been hidden in plain sight. And I kept saying, this doesn't make any sense to me as it relates to Jerry Ralph Atkerson, who is Wyatt's grandpa. Okay. You remember him from the Cito call where the captain said, I just spoke to the grandpa and the grandpa told me to cancel the call. It's no longer needed. You remember that, right? Well, that name's going to pop up again. And remember, Jerry Atkerson is Wyatt's grandpa. You remember in the audio, the in-depth audio where you can hear them saying, damn it, Bart. And everybody's like, whoa, I never heard the name Bart before. Well, I heard the name Bart before the audio was released. I heard the name Bart before because Warren said it. Warren said, I called my buddy Bart to bring his boat for us to go out there. There were about 20 to 30 people and my buddy Bart. And then so that was the first time. I heard the name Bart, but there, some of you didn't recall that, or some of you were not privy to Warren's initial interview with Officer Tay Tay. But that was the first time I heard it. So some of your first time, some of yous that are tuned in, your first time hearing the name Bart was in the audio that was broken down by Janetta Brantley, where you can hear, damn it, Bart. And then you compile that, right? You put that to the side. You got Bart. You have Wyatt that's on the call, making the quote unquote emergency distress call to Cito. You have Warren swearing up and down, I was not on the boat with Nolan. I was not on the boat with Nolan. Listen, Nolan did not leave on the boat with me, with us. Y'all, there were 20 to 30 people. There was actually 5 boats. What you mean there was 5 boats? Give me a second. Give me a second. We thought there was 3. When this ish hit the fan, we had no information from the boys. All of a sudden, these guys have had over a month to get their stories straight. Now, let me say something. Many of you take up issue with the Cajun Navy. I don't. I don't. And I'm going to just say that. I don't take up issue with the Cajun Navy, because I will say this. If you can read between the lines what the Cajun Navy is trying to tell you, they're saying their stories are not credible. They're not saying it, but they're giving you the evidence that can speak for itself. The Cajun Navy released its timestamps. The Cajun Navy were one of the first groups to take Nolan Wells' disappearance seriously. They dispatched their own resources. Watch this. The Cajun Navy gave you something, and you all missed it. Now, they can't get involved with this because it's technically not their job. Hold on. I'm going to show you something. There's 5 boats involved. Why you say that? I'm going to show you. Watch this. The receipts are receipting. Remember this. 5 boats. Hold on. I want you to count how many boats you see. The first set of boats I'm going to show you, here we go. Give me 1 second. Here we go. The first set of boats I'm going to show you are the boats. It's a geospatial timeline and vessel movement analysis that was created and extracted by the Cajun Navy from July 4th, 2026. Here we go. This is their report. I only want you to focus on the visuals. This is a very technical report. What do you mean by that? There's a lot of marine data language, and if you're not an expert in that, you can get lost. Do you see this photo right here? Right here. It says geospatial timeline and vessel movement analysis. This is a in-depth analysis that was created by the Cajun Navy. Now, let's see if I can make it bigger. All right. Hold on. Maybe I didn't need to do that. Hold on. Give me one. Let's get it back to the center of the page. All right. If you take a look, this is an annotated source image. It shows boat 1 to the far top of the left screen. It shows boat X. Next to boat 1, it shows boat number 2 and boat number 3. You guys, that is 4 boats. Write that down. That's 4 boats. The boat that they don't want us to focus on is the 5th boat. So when Warren, when Morgan, when Jack says, we begged Nolan to get on the boat, it doesn't mean that Nolan wasn't on a boat. He may not have been on their boat of the 5 boats. Watch this. So where was whoa, here's another boat. There's 5. It says Warren on the Palm Beach. If you look here, it says Warren on the Palm Beach. This is Warren's face. So now we got 5 boats. Let me say there's a possible 6 boats in question. So when somebody says Nolan was not on my boat, that could be technically true. So the question we should be asking, Whose boat was Nolan Wells on? And that's the question that the boys are not answering. Whose boat was he on then? Because maybe you are right. Maybe he wasn't on your boat. But if he's on one of the boats that carried out the 20 to 30 people, how come you're not naming it? Watch this. Watch this. So you see the boats. And then the Cajun Navy starts to go into detail. I'm not going to get into, well, maybe I will. Or maybe I should do it later. I don't know how to get rid of this on the right side of my screen, but the Cajun Navy was able to point out, for those of you that are technical, that there's a time gap. There's a discrepancy in time. Watch this. 4:31 departure hinge, if you look at this right here. The stated 16:31 departure time of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island is minutes after the 4:27 embedded clock visual from the marine data. Okay, so there were 5 minutes off, right? However, did you know that boats stayed on that island until 5:25, traveling for 2.7 miles? Doing what? We're not sure. Where am I going with this? Write down 5 to 6 boats. Now let's listen to what their attorney had to say. That leads me to believe there is a possible implication pointing to Wyatt and Bart. Here we go. Listen very carefully. Here we go.
Daylight. It's just not possible given the natural environment there. And that leads me to the next point, which is this. Once you know what the timeline is, when you combine the timeline with the actual
do with it.
Confidence, not a strong enough word.
Oh, here
in fact, best offer. Really great people. We're not here to speculate. We're only going to deal in facts, right? And here's the most important thing, right? We don't know how Nolan Wells died. No one here is saying we know.
Look at the guy in the middle. This is very painful for him. I believe that's more. Let me double check. I believe that's Jax. I believe that's Jax. What the attorney is leading with is they do not want to guess and or speculate how Nolan Wells died. Now, let me tell you, that's neither here nor there. That's his job to get in front of it so that they can give limited to no detail. That's not important. What's important is what he says next. Hold on. I want to make sure I get the right names. Morgan, this is Morgan on the end in the white shirt. Jax is in the middle. Warren is seated next to the attorney. Let's listen.
About Morgan, if you lied about Jax, if you lied about Warren, we're going to get you. And you're going to be hauled into court. You're going to be held accountable. And it's going to be very painful. And
what's happening to these young men?
Well, unfortunately, I wish there was no case. I wish this hadn't happened. But unfortunately, because these things did happen, there is a case. And now there's multiple cases. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're out there and you lied about these guys, you lied about my guys, you lied about Tyler's guys here, if you lied about Morgan, if you lied about Jax, if you lied about Warren, we're going to get you. And you're going to be hauled into court. You're going to be held accountable. And it's going to be very painful.
Painful.
And what I would say to the people who have done that is now's your chance. If you want to apologize and retract before you find yourself in court, you should probably do that now. Because if you don't do that, once you're in court, now you just can't leave.
So now they better bow down, huh? They better bow down to your guys, or it's going to be painful. Okay.
you won't be able to get out of it. And we're not going to name names because there's some other folks who are doing that, and we want to be better than that. And I want to emphasize this, right? We're not here to guess. We're not here to speculate. We're only going to deal in facts, right? And here's the most important thing, right? We don't know how Nolan Wells died.
I don't believe you. I'm going to trust Jax's body language. Jax is the one that's feeling the most pain emotionally. Jax is the one that's having a real life reaction to Nolan Wells' death during this interview. His body posture, his head held low. I don't believe you, sir. I believe Jax's body language, but okay, let's go with that.
No one here is saying we know, but what we do know is Morgan, Jax, and Warren had nothing whatsoever to do with Nolan Wells' death.
Wait a minute. Morgan, Jax, and Warren had nothing to do with his death. Listen to him again. He's making sure that we know as the public, Morgan is good, Jax is good, Warren is good. So that leaves Wyatt and Bart. Listen.
And we want to be better than that. And I want to emphasize this, right? We're not here to guess. We're not here to speculate. We're only going to deal in facts, right? And here's the most important thing, right? We don't know how Nolan Wells died. No one here.
I don't believe it. Look at Jax. This is very painful to Jax. I don't believe you, sir. And I know I've said it. I don't believe you. The heart can't lie in this moment. Jax is overwhelmed with what appears to be sorrow.
Here is saying we know. But what we do know is Morgan, Jax, and Warren had nothing whatsoever to do with Nolan Wells' death.
So what happened? Who had something to do with it? Because now this implicates to me, and it draws a line in the sand to say, these three are good. They had nothing to do with it. And that leaves Wyatt and Bart. He's saying, my guys, their hands are clean. They had nothing to do with Nolan's death.
And that's what's important. And unfortunately, because there are people who want to divide a town and come in from the outside and tell people what to think and pit neighbor against neighbor.
You're lying. We think our own thoughts.
It compounds the tragedy. It magnifies the tragedy. And I just want to say this. Here's why it's an even bigger tragedy. Because
Look at Jax. If you pay attention to Jax, his heart is broken. He can barely sit here. Jax is different than these other two. These other two and possibly whomever else, they're going to take it to the finish line, whatever that is, whatever that means. Jax may have been raised a little bit different. And Jax, I have a question for you, because I was talking to a friend, and a lot of you missed this in the Cito audio call. Thank you, Janetta Brantley, again. In the Cito audio call, you can hear somebody tell Wyatt, I thought you were going to call Coast. To me, that implicates there was at least one person who may have had Nolan's best interests at heart. I thought you were going to call Coast. Y'all, I have to break up the video. Otherwise, it's copyright infringement. I can't play it all the way through without breaking it up.
Friends here, Morgan, Jax, and Warren. These guys are not just the finest that Ocean Springs has to offer, finest that Mississippi has to offer. These are the finest young men that America has to offer. You know, really great people. And Tyler actually taught me good Ocean Springs people. That was one of the first things I heard when I got here. So I'll just say that. They're good Ocean Springs people.
He's going out there to speak about the reputation of Morgan, Jax, and Warren. He didn't say anything about Bart. He didn't say anything about Wyatt. Let's take it from the beginning. I wanted you to hear this attorney separate his boys from the other two boys, and he said, I can tell you beyond a reasonable doubt, I'm beyond confident that Morgan, that Jax, and Warren had absolutely nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells, which leads me to now say, well, who did? Does that mean Wyatt and Bart did, and you're just here to defend your three clients? Here we go.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible
It's not 99%. It's not 90.
subscribe button, and also join and argue. Because sorry to interrupt. Incredible interview. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and also join our membership program. Let's get back to the interview. And how confident are you? Because you just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it?
Confidence not a strong enough word. In fact, beyond a reasonable doubt is not strong enough. There's a 0% chance that they did anything wrong.
Wow. Bart and Wyatt, they are hanging y'all out to dry. If there was anything nefarious that happened, anything accidental, any tampering with evidence, any information withheld from authorities, from Nolan's parents, he's saying it wasn't my boys. It ain't mine.
Doubt is not strong enough. There's a 0% chance that they did anything wrong. So this is not 90%. It's not 99%. It's not 99.9999. There's no decimals. There's no anything. It's 100%. 100.000%. Nothing. They did nothing wrong. And that's the problem for our opponents here.
The only opponent that you're up against is the victim, Nolan Wells. Everybody else in America is working to identify what could have possibly happened to Nolan Wells. Your only opponent is in the grave. What you will not do is flip this boy's death inside out, upside down, and make these boys victims. They are not victims. Warren, I believe you know everything. And if it's not you, I believe you know who. Now, I get the good old Ocean Springs. We stick together. We don't say anything. And even if I didn't, and I know who, I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But here's the problem. The dignity that you owe Christine Wansley, you didn't give it to her. You thought so little of Nolan that you would rather go on a fucking podcast and talk about how good he was to you than to sit down and look that grieving mother in her eye behind closed doors without cameras and say, here's what happened. Here's what happened. You won't even give her that. I don't want to hear nothing about Judge Ashley Cole texting her. A text is absolutely diabolical and disrespectful to send to a mother when she loses her child. A text? Who the hell are you that I have to respond to your text? If my son is truly or was truly what you said he was to you, then you pick up the freaking phone and you call me, even if it breaks your heart to do so. That's what brothers do. That's what family do. And that's what the good old town of Ocean Spring is supposed to do if it's built itself on the moral compass that you want us to believe that it's built itself on. I believe Warren knows way more than he'll ever say.
They did nothing wrong. And that's the problem for our opponents here, who have ruined their lives, dragged them through the mud, and attacked them. You don't get to...
Nobody ruined their life. And I think that's extremely irresponsible that you have absolved them of all accountability. These boys refuse to speak for the first few weeks after Nolan's death. These boys refuse to give any helpful, detailed information, and that's not my opinion. The Cajun Navy said they had absolutely nothing to work on. The Cajun Navy had to go comb through social media like the rest of us. It became an equal investigative playing field of who can find the most clues on social media. Even the Cajun Navy was left hanging by these boys. They wouldn't give him nothing. Absolutely nothing. And they lawyered up immediately thereafter until his body washed up on the shore. These boys put themselves in a position to lose. These boys put themselves in a position to have people mad at them and concerned. If you were truly friends, why are you not saying anything? If you love him the way you did, can you give us something? Can you tell his mom something? Can you call the police? You don't know it. Come on, give us something. And a month later, all of a sudden, mine eyes have seen the glory. Now we can talk. Now we're on a podcast. After we've gotten one of the biggest, far to the right attorneys there is. Because we're going to teach you black folks a lesson. Either you're going to shut up and apologize or we're going to make it hurt. We're coming after you all that's talking. Well, you can't shut us up because it's called the First Amendment right. And if you get to speak, then so do we. Let's continue. They are not no more important than Nolan Wells.
Lie. We have a First Amendment. We love our First Amendment, but you don't get to lie and hurt people. You want to lie and it doesn't hurt people? Fine. You lie and you hurt people. That's why we have defamation.
Well, lying about Nolan's whereabouts, what happened, where he was, lying about him being with Katie hurts too. Withholding evidence is lying. That hurts.
And that's what this is about. So I just want to emphasize this in the strongest possible terms. Zero wrongdoing, completely innocent, totally innocent, and categorically innocent.
And you guys have had experiences.
All right. So now that leaves Bart and Wyatt, because the attorney went on record to say these three guys had nothing to do with Nolan's death. Morgan, nothing to do with it. Jax, absolutely nothing to do with it. And Warren, nothing to do with it. There was no mention of innocence. There was no mention of non-involvement by Wyatt and or Bart. Let's continue.
With either people threatening you online. I know that, Warren, we talked about this.
Zero wrongdoing, completely innocent, totally innocent, and categorically innocent.
And you guys have had experiences with either people threatening you online. I know that, Warren, we talked about this before, and we talked a little, or at least spoke a little bit about when you go out, you guys are getting accosted by people. Can you give us an example of, or at least tell the audience an example of an incident where you guys may have been accosted? Or what does that look like when you go out? People threaten you with weapons, or people trying to physically harm you, or people having to be restrained? What kind of engagement is happening when you guys go out?
We went to a restaurant, a couple of buddies of mine, and when we were, I wouldn't say threatening with weapons or anything, but I felt, and I know my friends felt, threat for our lives. I mean, I don't think there was like a fear factor, but at the same time, like it's awkward in public. Like I stated, like when we have to talk about these things, but we went to a restaurant and someone came up to me and was like, "Is this you?" And I was kind of like shaken up about it. Well, at first she asked like my name and like all these questions. And I was like, okay, whatever, she's just coming up to talk. Well, then she came up to me again and showed me our first interview and was like, "Are you sure this isn't you?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, that's me, like obviously." And she kind of just, I looked at my buddy and I was like, "Yeah, we're leaving, like close everything out, like we're going." And I left, and there was an altercation after I left with some of my buddies that weren't involved in this at all. And they told my friends that they were going to kill them. And
see, now you lying. You see how everybody jerked and say, "Kill him." Watch this.
At all. And they told my friends that they were going to kill them and they wanted to fight.
You see how the attorney is looking And Morgan's looking like, whoa, that's the first time I've heard of this.
And they told my friends that they were going to kill him and they wanted to fight.
He's like, whoa.
And all this like crazy stuff. After I left, there's some of my buddies that weren't involved in this at all. And they told my friends that they were going to kill him and they wanted to fight and all this like crazy stuff. I mean, I wasn't there, but my friends told me this.
So it's hearsay. It's hearsay. Nobody told your buddies they were going to kill him. It's hearsay. You're making up as you go to victimize yourself. So you mean to tell me your attorney is here threatening the rest of America that they cannot repeat hearsay, but you get to sit on a podcast and repeat hearsay, something you didn't witness, you don't know? Let's see.
That what the people were saying to them was like totally just crazy. Like, I mean, there was people like that were, you know, outside of this telling us like, hey, you need to leave before something happens because I know what could go down right now. And like, I know like these people are crazy. So, I mean, we all felt, we were kind of shaken up about that. It was weird because it was our first encounter as a group. And I think it's also like just crazy that people will like look at you in the eye and tell you they'll kill you because they believe you killed your best friend. You have nothing.
Nobody told you that. You're lying. Nobody told you that. I don't believe that.
To do with it.
And Morgan and Jax, were you guys there?
Yes, we were there.
I was there.
I didn't hear the part where they said they were going to kill him and stuff, but
Oh, wait. Thank you, Jax. The one with the high moral compass. Thank you, Jax. He said, I didn't hear that. And I was there. Told you, Jax is different. Jax is different than the rest of the fold. He said, I was there, but I didn't hear anything about killing anybody. Let's see what you all are saying. Wow. You sat there and you're building this phenomenon of death threats that don't exist. And the one in the middle said, I was there. No, I don't remember hearing that. But yeah, people were asking who we were.
It was our first encounter as a group. And I think it's also like just crazy that people will like look at you in the eye and tell you they'll kill you because they believe you killed your best friend and you have nothing to do with it.
And Morgan and Jax, were you guys there?
yes, we were there.
I was there.
I didn't hear the part where they said they were going to kill him and stuff, but
Yeah.
I did hear whenever she came up to him originally, she was like, hey, you have like TikTok or anything like that? Your face looks really familiar. And he was like, no, I don't have TikTok or anything like that. And she was like, oh, okay. And then walked off and then came back with, like you said, the first interview on her phone and showing him. She was like, so this isn't you. Either you have a doppelganger or this is you. And he was like, well, yeah, that's me. And then we got the check and we bounced and we were.
Exactly. So a young girl, sounds like a teenage girl, saw these guys out at a bar, at a restaurant, said, hey, are you Warren? Nope. She leaves. Okay. She comes back. You're not this guy? Yeah, that's me. Okay. Hey, can we get our check? We need to get out of here. And they left safely. Why add the rest of a death threat that clearly did not happen? And we're supposed to take your word that you know absolutely nothing about the mysterious death of Nolan Wells. When you sat here on this podcast in front of America and just told a bold-faced lie to victimize yourself, and you put that young girl, whomever she is in harm's way. Because what if people believe you that this young girl actually threatened to take your life? You're not telling the truth.
We're waiting outside for everybody else to get out of there. And while we're waiting outside is whenever some of our other buddies that aren't even on social media that we were just there with was getting told that other people are going to kill them and all that kind of stuff.
So how did they make you guys feel did you think they were serious? Did you think it was just people trying to make a name for themselves by confronting you in front of others? Like, what was your take on that, Morgan?
I think it was just like, I was in the general area of where one of our buddies was, where this altercation happened. And I actually got into a conversation with a fellow next to me that wasn't even involved. And he told me straight up, he was like, if I was y'all right now, I would leave before y'all get hurt. Y'all need to leave right now. I'm just watching out for y'all and making.
And this is a nice place. Ocean Springs, one of the most lovely places, right? Let the attorney tell it, in the world. These are dignified folks. So these are people amongst your own people. These are white people amongst rich white people. But if you didn't know that, you would be led to believe otherwise. So these are people in their tax bracket, in their neighborhood, in their zip code, people that live in the community that are just asking, what's up? What happened to Nolan? These are good conservative Christians that they live amongst neighbors, neighborhood friendly folks. And now they're creating a narrative about the good folks in Ocean Springs. Now the good folks in Ocean Springs are threatening their lives at a nice bar, at a nice restaurant. How dare you?
Make sure y'all are safe. And I mean, I wouldn't say that those people would have physically done something.
Exactly. Because they're nice folks in Ocean Springs, and you knew they had no ill harm and or intent toward you, but you want to create this narrative on social media in this podcast, and you know better.
In that moment, but I think they were playing like almost like a mental game, like just to get into your head and just almost like make yourself like just think these things that obviously are not true.
If you can go back to the very beginning of this, how do you think this should have played out? Because I always question in my mind that when I go back, I look at what happened, I look at the initial stories with Nolan, and you guys knew him, right? I didn't know him. I know none of you guys. I just had a chance to meet you guys more recently. But how do you think this should have gone? If you could control the environment, Nolan is found deceased. How do you guys think that this should have been put out to the world?
Watch this. Very hesitant, very measured, very strategic answers.
So first off, I wish that none of this would ever happen. I wish Nolan could still be here with us today. And I wish that, like I said, none of this would ever happen. Like I wish that all this could be erased and Nolan could be here tomorrow. I mean, that's more than anything. But other than that, I feel like his mom blasting us on social media from the get-go, saying that he was out there with Warren and another guy.
He was out there with Warren. He spent the previous night with Warren at your house, I do believe. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to make Christine Wansley the big bad wolf in this situation. He was out there with Warren. Warren went on record in his first interview to say it was me, Nolan. What's the other boy's name? Tristan, Javon, all of us chilling. How dare you make this woman the enemy, the ops, because she's recalling who the hell her son went to Horn Island with. Are you telling me Warren was not on Horn Island that day? And Christine Warnsley is a big, fat, bold liar? That Warren stayed home that day and Nolan was not with Warren? Are you crazy? And if he wasn't with Warren, does it mean he was with Wyatt and Bart most of the time? Is that what you're trying to say? Question.
That he was out there with Warren and another guy. That's where it first started to take off. And then also the fact that she posted a picture of me and Morgan and another guy and Nolan on the boat together, blasting that out there, pushing.
She has every right to. Who do you think you are? That you take a higher position than her son. Who do you think you are that his mother has to protect you over her son's dead body? Who do you think you are that if her child goes missing, she doesn't have a right to post who he was last seen with? Are you freaking kidding me? When Amber Alerts go out, they tell you the description, the car, and the last person that they're seen with. Are you really sitting here taking a privileged position to think that his mother was supposed to sit over his dead body and weep and protect you and not give the public any information as she's clamoring and begging anybody? If you've seen my son, please tell me on Horn Island, and pretend that he wasn't with you and you and you and you. Is that what you just said? that she had no right and could never, as a Black woman, post photos of who her child was last seen with. And her duty is to cover you. And had she not posted and had she not gone to social media to search for her dead son, none of this would have happened. You've got to be two kinds of crazy. I'll tell you what I think. None of this would have happened if your parents, whomever's parents own those vessels, would have been serving underage kid an immense amount of alcohol. None of this would have ever happened if the parents would not have left an underage kid intoxicated, if what you say is true. Remember, you came back 3 weeks later. You didn't know anything. He was fine. He was fine. He was fine. He was loving on Katie. Now, all of a sudden, he was as drunk as a skunk, an underage kid. Well, guess what? If he was as drunk as a skunk as you reported him to be, then your parents are liable because they served him. It's their boat. So make it make sense. And they're just as responsible and negligent, in my opinion, for failing to ensure that a drunk underage kid whom they are responsible for serving didn't get back home safely.
This narrative, kind of, I guess. I wish that would have never happened either. And I don't think those would have never happened. A lot of this stuff wouldn't have been as viral or gone all over the country at this point. I mean, this is
absolutely disgusting. They wanted her to bury his Black body and shut the fuck up. They wanted her to make it go away, just like that Sheriff Ledbetter, allegedly. They wanted her to shut up, accept the death, and had you not said anything, America would not have been notified. It's because of you and your refusal to go along to get along. It's because of her that this has gotten to know. It's because he's dead with little to no explanation. Let's continue.
Countrywide news story that is just blown out of proportion, and the fact that it was our best friend and it's not what people are saying it is what hurts the most. I mean, that was our brother. I mean, straight up, that's what I told his dad.
So your brother, if it was really your brother, you wouldn't want your mom to post a picture of your missing brother? You wouldn't want your mom to make a plea to America? If that's truly your brother, your blood brother, like you want us to believe, I get what you're saying by way of friendship. You wouldn't do everything humanly possible for your blood, for somebody you consider a brother. You would just sit back at home and allow a group of Black boys that he went on a boat with to tell you, oh, I don't know what happened. And you say, okay. And his body washes up. Okay. Thanks, guys. Come on. Do better.
Night that he came over to my house, he was like, blah, blah, saying something. I was like, dude, that was my brother. Like, and you know that. He knows that. We were picking him up every single day. He never drove. I can't tell you how many times I pulled up in his driveway and picked him up. And it wasn't him asking. It was just because that's what we did. We just picked up Nolan all the time. That's how we, came about to all the stuff that we were going to. We'd go and pick him up. That's how much we like to be around him. We would do stuff like that all the time,
Well, first off, like I wish we would have never, like, I think about this every day. Like, I wish we would have never went out on the 4th of July because I know this wouldn't have happened. Nolan wouldn't be gone. And like, it's really hard to think about because it's like, I wish I would have done this different, or I wish I would have done that different because now one of my brothers passed away. But I think from the beginning, I'm glad that I called the Coast Guard. I'm glad that we came together as a group, even from the first day when people started texting us things, saying, crazy things. But I wish it wouldn't have been reported as some type of race thing. I think it's really bad that like people are pushing the narrative, oh, this is a race thing. Well, obviously it's not. I mean, this is like a brother to us. I mean, Nolan's no different than anyone else in our group. And I just wish this wasn't pushed on the media as, oh, this is a bunch of white guys that killed a Black guy, or this is, like in the beginning it was like 4 guys went to a stranded island and jumped this.
Now, nobody ever thought you went to a stranded island. Nobody ever thought that. Nobody's that dumb and that ignorant in America. We all understood that when you go to an island for July 4th, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of people up there. We're not dumb. We don't live in caves. Nobody thought that the 4 of you drove him off to some deserted island and whoa, he never came home again. Don't let Officer Tatum be the best representative that you can find on the behalf of the Black folks. He told you that. And as a result, that's what you thought we thought.
and dumped Nolan at the island, just left him there. Like, even from the beginning, it was just like this thing, and no one had facts, and they were just pushing this horrible narrative, all lies about everyone, and it's sick. So I wish that would have been completely different. I'm glad I called the Coast Guard. I'm glad I made the first contact within all of this. I'm glad I was the first one that called Christine Wells that night and told her that we haven't heard from her son. And I'm glad that I did all of that, but I hate the way.
Why would you hear from him? You had his phone. How would he get in touch with you? You had his phone.
This has been perceived by the media and portrayed. This has like been absolutely horrible with the way and the things that they've said to us and done. But other than that, I mean, there's not much I would change from my point of view and my friend's point of view. I think we did everything right, and I know we did nothing wrong.
I think I also want to say, I think it's so criminal that they took something so anti-racist and flipped it into something super racist.
You did that. We didn't do shit. We were sitting back. We were at your beck and call. We had nothing to go by except what you guys decided to breadcrumb us with. We knew absolutely nothing. We had to depend on you, just like the Cajun Navy had to depend on you. I think when the shit hit the fan is when Sheriff Ledbetter came out and said it was an accidental drowning. Well, wait a minute. How do you know that? Who have you been talking to? Oh, let me guess. Your group on July 4th and July 5th. And mysteriously, the body washed up on the 6th. So he had already had his account of events, and that was his story, and that's what he was going to stick to. How in the hell did you know? You know why? Because he gave you all the benefit of the doubt. We didn't create this. You created this.
Like they took, this is the definition of anti-racism. I mean, that we did not look at Nolan any different than I looked at him, or even you. You know, this is literally our brother. I mean, like we stated, we did not treat him any different. We didn't treat Trayson any different. We don't treat Trayson any different. And they just flipped it. And I just think that is so wild that they're pushing this thing that they're saying, oh, they want to end racism and all this stuff. Well,
they want to end. He said, you black folks want to end racism, but look at you. See, now you're getting a little cocky, Jax. Listen very carefully.
You know, this is literally our brother. I mean, like we stated, we did not treat him any different. We didn't treat Trayson any different. We don't treat Trayson any different. And they just flipped it. And I just think that is so wild that they're pushing this thing that they're saying, oh, they want to end racism and all this stuff. Well, they're the one pushing it.
Oh, he said, it's you black people. See, and that's crazy. If all the white people that want answers, they somehow find a way subconsciously, because he's telling you exactly what he feels. He's not worried about the white Americans. They are still faulting the black Americans. Do you not know how many people are following this case, white, that do not agree with you all withholding information? Do you not know what you just said? You just extracted a demographic of people that you feel is responsible for this, that happen to be black. Make it make sense.
They're pushing the racism. And I just think that's kind of crazy.
Morgan, what's your thoughts on this? How does it affect you?
If I mean, first I want to say, wish this would have never happened. I wish Nolan would still be here with us today. And, but I, in my opinion, I think that the media, they shouldn't have pushed a narrative from so early. I think that they should have let the local officials do their job, let them release statements. And then, I mean, the media is obviously going to see that and then do whatever they do. But
the media did. Well, first of all, at least Morgan said the media, and he didn't point to a particular demographic of people and try to isolate them and blame them for their behavior. Everybody did let the local officials do their job. And we're still waiting on autopsy reports. We're still waiting on the toxicology reports. We're still waiting on a medical reason why Nolan's throat was missing from his body. We're still waiting to know if there was water in the stomach or the lung. So we've allowed the local officials to do their job. We've done that very well. And your sheriff tried to write Nolan off as an accidental drowning.
That's what I mean. I trust the local officials.
Ed, with what has transpired, how does that dictate your response? Because you have a 30,000 foot view of all of this stuff, right? You see the way that it could have went, and you see that there's people that instigated the narrative that's out there now? And as a defamation attorney, how does this navigate your tactics?
Sure. And I want to be clear about something. Tonight, I'm not going to give any particular person any more oxygen than they may have already sucked up. But I will say this. What's been said about Morgan, Jax, and Warren, I'm not going to call them untruths or half-truths or falsehoods. I'm going to call it what it is, lies. So the first thing.
Okay. So anything that you've had to say about Morgan, Jax, and Warren are lies. So are we closer? Are we getting warm when we're diverting our attention to Wyatt and Bart? Is that what you're insinuating?
That's really important here is we're dealing with lies and liars. We're dealing with profiteers. We're dealing with hustlers. And one thing that I've seen since I got here is that Ocean Springs, Mississippi, is a really beautiful place. And the region is very beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country. And there is just no question. The death of Nolan Wells is a horrendous tragedy. But for the tragedy to then be magnified after his death for no reason other than profit is a disgrace, or what we would call a shanda. And I had the opportunity to go to Horn Island today with Tyler and Warren and Jax. And a lot of people who have been sucking up way more oxygen than they're entitled to have not been to the island. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the hustlers and profiteers and liars have not been to that island. And you have to go to that island. And being at the island today was revelatory. It was really illuminating. It's a very dynamic marine environment, first of all. But when you go to the island, you see instantly that what some people want to be true, what they wish to be true, they're trying to wish it to be true. They're trying to make it true through their lies. It's actually not possible.
What does the freaking landscape of Ocean Springs have to do with Nolan Wells' death? So we're going to walk into the Garden of Eden, right? Surrounded by water. Okay. And then because it's so beautiful and breathtaking, what?
It is a very, very long and narrow barrier island. It's basically very low sand dunes. And in the particular part of the island that we're dealing with, there are no trees. It's hardly any foliage, hardly any tree cover, hardly any plants, and it's wide open. And on July 4th, there were thousands of people there. There is no possible way that anybody could have committed a murder in broad daylight.
Wow.
On a barren, windswept island that is narrow and was just swamped with people that day in broad daylight. It's just not possible.
Okay. So when you talk about murder, you have to have a malice intent. But is there any possible way somebody could have accidentally harmed somebody with no malice, with no premeditation? I understand the legal jargon that you're putting in front of us. And I understand that you understand that words matter. So when you say murder, most of us tend to think of knives and guns and glory and gruesome scenes. But is there a possibility that somebody could have been strangled due to horseplay? Somebody could have been pushed. Somebody could have hit their head. I get what you're doing. You're playing off of murder. But is there a possibility that something could have happened and these boys did not do their due diligence of rendering aid?
Given the natural environment there. And that leads me to the next point, which is this. Once you know what the timeline is, when you combine the timeline with the actual dynamics of the island itself, all of the lies.
Okay, what's the timeline that's going to refute all of this? Because we have the timeline from the marine data, and they don't have a dog in this fight, okay? They don't have a relationship with Nolan Wells or any of these boys. So tell us how the computer and the timeline that the computer has computed is wrong. And once it lines up with how big the island is, oh, we're going to know the truth all of a sudden. What's up? Tell us now.
The island itself, all of the lies completely unravel because it isn't possible. And here's why. Morgan, Warren, and Jax left the island at about 4:30 p.m.
Oh, do y'all see why I said, is this a strong implication regarding Wyatt and Bart? He's saying, listen, Morgan, Jax and Warren got the hell out of there. I can't speak for everybody else. Now do you see why I'm asking? Wait, did this new interview just implicate Wyatt and Bart? Did this just become even more complicated? Did this new interview with his so-called friends connected to Nolan Wells' mysterious death, now it's starting to raise questions regarding what part in the timeline surrounding Wyatt Pyron and Bart Edmiston Jr. Wait, Bart. Hold on, Bart. What's up, Wyatt? So were Wyatt and Bart actually on the boat with Nolan on the way back? Because here's what they want you to believe. And I got into a back and forth online with, is it Chris Cumio? Yeah, he responded. We went back and forth on his page. He's saying Bart was not on the boat going out. But what about coming back? What about coming back? Because this guy just said, my 3 clients, they left at 4:31. Okay. He didn't say Wyatt. He didn't say Bart.
That's it. They were gone. That is not open for debate. So that's a fact. They were gone. And at that time, Nolan Wells was still alive. Now,
oh, shit, Bart. Wyatt, y'all better come to the front. Because we know 20 to 30 people didn't get on one boat. So what he's saying, this is what I take away. And let me just tell you, I'm going to use my common sense. Listen, what everybody else did is not my business. But when these boys got on the boat, Nolan was still alive at 4:30. Okay, so now where was he alive at? Who was he with? Whose boat was he on? Because the Cajun Navy has outlined a pretty ironclad timeline indicating there is no way, almost impossible, to corroborate that Nolan was still on that island after 5 p.m. So if these guys left at 4:30, whose boat was Nolan on? Bart? Wyatt? I have questions.
I'm not going to name them out of respect for their privacy,
Oh.
but just as one example, there are 2 very fine, upstanding members of the Ocean Springs community who saw Nolan Wells at about 10 minutes to 6 p.m. So about an hour and a half after these fine young men had left the island. They were gone, departed. Nolan Wells was alive. And these 2 witnesses, 2 very reliable.
Why? Why are they reliable? Because they live in Ocean Springs and they have money and they happen to be white? Is that what makes them reliable? Because let me tell you what the data shows. That a few of these boats didn't even leave until after 5:25. So we're talking a 60-minute time gap. And I got proof. Somebody's lying.
Very credible and very upstanding members of the community. They saw Nolan and they've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake. And by the way, this can be corroborated through other evidence.
I don't believe you, sir, but you're an attorney. Your job is to shuck and jive and cook and get them off. Look how Jax is looking at him. I don't believe you. Jax's face is saying, oh shit, wait a minute. I agree. This interview may have made things worse. Sir, you're coming in with this northern energy. These are southern folks. And you're performative. And
Nolan Wells was alive. And these 2 witnesses, 2 very reliable, very credible, and very upstanding members of the community, they saw Nolan. And they
look how the boys are looking. Warren is like a deer in headlights. Like, who? Who? Because if I tell what I really know, there's no way Nolan could have been alive after 5 p.m. Warren is shocked. But Warren, that's what you hired him to do, to get you off the hook.
You've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake.
These kids are absolutely, they're like, well, whoa. We knew our parents were going to hire you, but shit, we didn't know that, we were going to take it all the way. Damn.
And by the way, this can be corroborated through other evidence, other eyewitness accounts. And that's the end of it right there. That's before we get into.
You're a liar. I don't believe you, sir. Let me just say, I don't believe you. Why was the sheriff going to wrap it up as an accidental drowning? Where were these eyewitnesses, these upstanding community members? Who are these adults that know Nolan well? Because you're describing them like adults that watched him drunk as a skunk, stumbling around the island. Because see, this is where you guys get in trouble, because you reported weeks after his disappearance, when he's not here to speak for himself, that he was heavily drinking, incoherent. So you mean to tell me these upstanding citizens of Ocean Spring watch his drunk ass, sloppy drunk, and didn't offer help or a ride? Oh, okay, the fine town of Ocean Springs, after he was left 10 to 12 nautical miles behind, without a phone or any way to communicate or to tell somebody, whoa, I'm too drunk, can you come get me? So these nice adults, these fine people just said, well, not my kid.
Everything else about the situation.
And when I look at this, I feel like there's levels of defamation and areas of defamation. And I'm not going to speak on your behalf because this is y'all's story to tell, your story to litigate. But which areas are the most egregious that you are going to go after, or that you guys think also are areas where people have taken this situation and clearly lied to the public? One.
Good luck with that. Defamation is real hard to prove in a federal court, especially in a civil case. You cannot take away the freedom of speech. You cannot stop somebody from thinking what they want to think. Hell, I could think that your wife is having an affair with her boss, right? It's not against the law for me to possess. It's not against the law for any one of us to possess our own thoughts. It's not against the law for people to say, I don't think these boys have done anything wrong. You cannot sue America for having their own thoughts and voicing their opinion, unless they said, I saw them do this, this, and this, and this. And I know beyond a reasonable doubt that Warren, Morgan, Jax, Wyatt, Bart, and all of them killed Nolan. You don't have a case, because I've yet to hear anybody say that. I've heard people say what they believe have happened, what they think have happened. You're coming in as a muscle. You're coming in to shut people down and to back them up. Good luck with that.
Being the phone call. What is your thoughts on that phone call to Cito? Some people have gone out and done enhancements to the audio, and in doing that, created.
So are you trying to send your barking dogs after Janetta? She did what she did, and as a result, we got more of a fuller angle of what could have possibly happened that day on July 4th.
The transcript manually. It doesn't appear that the transcript was derived from an automated system or have any, in my opinion, real integrity with it. What are your thoughts first, you guys, on the audio?
See, that's your opinion, and you can't be sued for it. So why are we trying to sue America again?
And then I'll get to you, Ed, on could that be a defamatory area?
I don't like this guy, because you have your freaking opinion. Why are you trying to sick this mega attorney on an audio engineer who decided to plug something into a software, record her steps, step by step, and say, ooh, go get her? How is that defamatory? Prove it. Prove it. Prove that it's defamatory. Prove that she had a voice sample of each of their voices prior to any of this, prior to July 4th, that somehow she predicted that Nolan Wells was going to die on July 4th, 2026. Prove the fact that she was able to predict and say, you know what? I think he has a friend named Bart. I think he has a friend named Morgan, Wyatt, Jax, and all of them. And some more. Let me go get some more girls from Ocean Springs, because I have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion that on July 4th, Nolan Wells is going to die. And then the kids are going to make a call to which toe? Oh, Cito. Okay, let me clone their voices and plug it in, just in case my dream that I dreamt a month ago comes true. You sound crazy. CDB, thank you for the $5 super chat. You said on the recording, you can hear the girl say, Wyatt. Wyatt's good. Nolan is dead. And go back and listen to the Cito audio. Trey Mauve says, I'm sorry, sir. So if a murder can't happen, how can a death happen? Exactly. Great Karma, thank you for the $5 super sticker. You said, wait. On his solo interview, Warren said he last saw Nolan at 3 p.m. Thank you. Now they're saying 4:30. Thank you. Exactly. A 90-minute discrepancy, which is why a few videos ago, when I started to break down that I did not believe Warren is a credible individual, as you heard Warren exaggerate a lie about fictitious death threats, to which Jax corrected. He said, I was actually there as an eyewitness. I didn't hear anything about a death threat. Okay. So Warren, I believe you have the capacity to tell lies because you said you arrived to Horn Island at 10:30 a.m. The marine data says you arrived at 45 minutes later, 11:15. And I had a very disgruntled viewer in my chat saying, why does it make a difference? I said, because he's trying to separate himself from something, and I don't know what. And actually, what it comes down to is he doesn't have the propensity to be consistent in telling the truth. Warren, you have lied and lied and lied and lied. And the question is, Warren, I want to know why. Are you protecting Bart? Are you protecting Wyatt? What is the true hierarchy in Ocean Springs? Who is the baller, shot caller, as it relates to the parents and the families? Who has the most money? Is it Warren's family? Is it Bart's family? Is it Wyatt's family? To Foxy, you said, Queen, why isn't the FBI reporting? Because this is, first of all, if you look at this thing, this is way bigger than what we think, if you ask me. Horn Island is federal property. And if you think about the entities that are involved, you have politicians. If you start to do the family tree of some of these boys, you have doctors, judges, lawyers. You have a lot of people that are sitting beneath the surface. So it's become very political, the underbelly, the undertone of it. And it's just, you guys don't know that. You get what I'm saying? And then it would be the local FBI, because every state and city have their local FBI, even though it says Federal Bureau of Investigations, it would still be based in Mississippi. Okay. I've said it before. I don't know if you're going to get what you need for Nolan. I hope we do, because the public is not going down without a fight. And let me tell you something. I think the parents are the ones with the muscle in the shadows, calling the plays, calling the shots, running interference legally and politically to make this thing go away, eliminating all liability. I showed you the documents where Christine Warnsley went to the courthouse and filed a motion to appoint her as the administratrix of Nolan Wells' legacy. The motion was granted. Okay. I believe she filed it on July 23rd. It was granted July 26th. I showed you all of this. This is bigger than what we think. She's gearing up for a wrongful death lawsuit. And then you saw Warren's dad come out with the GoFundMe to block the wrongful death lawsuit, to hire an attorney to make sure that Nolan's mother not receive one dime. Even if they did, or one of the adults are responsible for him having alcohol on their vessel, you are responsible. He was an underage child. You are responsible. And they don't even want to bear the responsibility of putting the claim on their insurance policy. They took up funds to block that lady from filing. And your money is being used to defend a wrongful death lawsuit. Then all of a sudden, watch this. There is a anonymous medical complaint against Christine Wansley, who's had a clean record. And I've always thought and found that very mysterious, very interesting. And I said, well, who would take up issue with her now? And then I found it strange that Warren's dad, allegedly, was placed on an administrative leave of absence until all of this goes away because the hospital didn't want the controversy seeping over into the patient-doctor-provider relationship. Watch this. You, and me are not very savvy to know the ins and outs and the bylaws of making a complaint. Only somebody that knows somebody that understands the medical system would know that I can make an anonymous complaint against you and freaking get your license taken. Let me tell you who I think was behind that. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but all of a sudden it went away before it was placed on record. The Board of Nursing in Mississippi all of a sudden said, you know what, never mind. Warren, I have a question for you. Did your dad make that report? Did your father, it's just a question, make that report? I don't think a patient did that. Because that would have to be a savvy patient to come back years and years later to say, you know what, I don't like you. And I have the intellect and the wherewithal to know that if I file a complaint against you, that it's going to remain anonymous. Only somebody that knows the system would know the loopholes. Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's all. And why are you so hell-bent on shutting down Christine Wansley? Because if I can break her, Queen Sheba, and if I can beat the spirit out of her, my sons get to live again. You heard the boys. They say, we want to go out. We want to go out drinking, and we just want to be normal, and we want to go have our food, and we like going out. Oh, you didn't hear him? Listen to Warren. Here we go.
You just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it? We have Ed Pausick, Warren, Jax, and then we have...
Here's the names. Morgan, Jax Patalo, Warren Hudson, Ed Pausick. Sorry.
Morgan here. And so I talked to Warren last time I was here. We had a really deep conversation, and I'm glad that we were able to get other perspectives. Now that we have Ed here, Ed is a defamation attorney. And I want to start with you, Ed. You know, why did you choose to work with the boys? What is your plans? What do you expect to get out of working with them? What's your expectations when it comes to defamation?
Well, I think an injustice in one place is an injustice everywhere. I hate lying. I care about the truth, but most of all, it's the actual people who are involved here. So first of all, I just want to say Tyler Cox really welcomed me here. My co-counsel, he's an incredible human being and he's an incredible attorney. And then after that, I had an opportunity to meet these incredible young men. And I just got to say, these guys are unbelievable. Warren, Jackson, Morgan, they're just beautiful people. They're really decent human beings. They're just great people. And, you know, that's why I'm here, because I want to help great people. And this is a very sad situation, but it's also a very human situation, and it's a tragedy.
So you guys have, you know, obviously before this happened, I would assume you're living a regular life, young guys being in college, you know, having a typical experience. Then you lose your friend, Nolan. And after that, what has life been like for you guys?
I think like ever since it happened, my life just like hit like a halt, like it just stopped. And I mean, we just got to live day by day from now on.
I can say definitely a whole flip upside down for our lives. It's like even going out, you know, we're always paranoid somebody's gonna see us, get spotted, try to beat us up potentially, or even worse. We're really just trying to stay low key.
Let me say this. So you have a defamation civil attorney that's going to specialize on the defamation side. Tyler Cox is a criminal defense attorney. Now, why do you need a criminal defense attorney if no murder or no foul play or nothing nefarious happened? So you have a criminal defense attorney, that's his co-counsel. And then on the backside of it, you have a defamation attorney that's representing these three boys. The two boys that are missing outside of these outside of this equation, and this is where the line is being drawn in the sand. And again, I say, are they implicating Bart and Wyatt? Because those boys are not being spoken for. Their reputation is not being vouched for.
I mean, we just got to live day by day from now on.
I could say definitely a whole flip upside down for our lives. It's like even going out, you know, we're always paranoid somebody's gonna see us, get spotted, try to beat us up potentially, or even worse. We're really just trying to stay low key and not go out as much or anything like that. Yeah.
It's been hard because my friends and I are people. I mean, we like to be out and hang out outside of our friend group, you know, and not being able to like go certain places or, you know, walk around in public because our head's always on a swivel. It's really affected all of us. I mean, especially in like my family's standpoint, my safety comes first. My friends and family safety come first too. And it's been really hard because I'm worried about like my family as well with me. And it's hard, but you know, we're just going day by day and just trying to get through every day, you know.
Can you give me some examples of what has happened? Have you guys had things happen online, threats online? Have you guys have any examples of people costing you or anything like that?
Oh yeah, we have had countless death threats online. Been spotted. I'll let you elaborate more on that.
I mean, you're gonna be spotted out. You were last seen with Nolan Wells.
Yeah, I mean, people have obviously just pointed us out. I mean, as a group and even on a one-on-one setting, I think it's really just like awkward because I don't want to talk about this. And
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't. And I'm sure Judge Ashley Cole gave you guidance on what to say and what not to say. So much so that the boys look to you to lead the conversation. Now, I've always identified Warren Hudson as the mastermind for the communication piece of it. He seems very confident, very sure of himself when it comes to being able to get out in front, initiate the calls, initiate engagement between the Coast Guard, law enforcement, and Christine Wansley. Now, why would he feel as confident? Because his mother, his stepmom, is in a judicial system. So that would give you a false sense of what? Safety, confidence. She's a judge. If we run into any snags, we'll be able to get out of it. So that's why I believe Warren takes the lead. Now, here's why I said they're strongly implicating Bart and Wyatt. Wyatt led the call for CETO, which leads me to believe that Wyatt, Bart, and Nolan may have been on the same boat headed back to Horn Island. Why do you say that? Well, this is the piece I cannot figure out. Can you see this screen? If he were not, why would Wyatt and Jerry Atkerson make a missing persons report in the death of Nolan Wells? Let me see if I can blow it up. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. Well, I don't know how to make it bigger. Listen to this. Oh, here we go. Can you see this? It says complaint, missing persons. Do you not see that? On July 5th, 2026, a missing persons complaint. Watch this. Was made. Now, I hope she didn't redact too much information. Let me tell you who it was made by. You took off their information. So, Jerry Atkerson, you see right here. And who? Bart Edmiston Jr. Why would Jerry need to make a missing persons report as it relates to Nolan Wells? Why would why would Bart need to make a missing persons report the next day as it relates to Nolan Wells? The name, you saw it. I showed it to you. Bart Edmiston Jr. Jerry Atkerson. That's Wyatt's grandpa. The same one that canceled the CETO call. Wait a minute, watch this. Remember initially I said, look at the boats right here. And I said the Cajun Navy was able to do a geospatial assessment of the different boats that are in question. We got boat number 1, we got boat X, boat number 2, boat number 3, and boat number 4, which Warren can be seen on. That's the Palm Beach boat. So we have 5 boats in question, and they're all what? They're all white. But if you go to the missing persons report here, oops, wrong one. Oops. We got to redact some information. One of the boats is listed as what? A Tide Craft, a 2020 Tide Craft, black boat. A black boat. Whose boat was that? It's right here, y'all, on the screen. Whoa. Why is Bart listing the vehicle in question as a 2020 Tide Craft, black in color? None of these boats here in this photo right here are black. Unless I'm wrong. It didn't say a Palm Beach. It says a what? A Tide Craft. Black 2020 boat. Is that the boat Nolan was on? Oh yeah, hidden in plain sight. I'm just reading to you what the boys listed on the report. You have access to this information like I do. Now, Jerry listed one of his boats in question on the missing persons report as a 2000 Triton. We're aware of that boat, but I didn't know nothing about a Tide Craft black boat. And it goes on to say, on Saturday at 11:49 hours, Mississippi Department of Marine Resources Lieutenant Patrick Caron was advised by dispatch of a caller reporting a missing male, Nolan Wells, on Horn Island. The caller told dispatch her 18-year-old son rode to Horn Island on a vessel with friends, was last seen around 3 p.m. His phone was in a friend's truck, and all the friends said they had returned from the island. Based on information provided at the time, Karen asked dispatch to forward the reporting party, Christine Wells Wansley, to Jackson County Sheriff's Office to make an official missing persons report. Shortly thereafter, dispatch advised the reporting party was calling the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and that the United States Coast Guard had been notified. At approximately 1:38 a.m. on July 5th, Karen spoke with Ocean Springs Police Department regarding the complaint and advised that the Jackson County Sheriff's Office would be taking the lead on the case. Karen also spoke with Lieutenant Odom, the shift supervisor, who said they had taken the initial report. He said his deputies had already spoken with several friends that traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan, and that when they left, he was in the company of an unknown female that he chose to remain on the island with. Well, please explain to me, if he's with this female, why did you need to call the Coast Guard? So either you made up the story about the female or you knew, in my opinion, that he was not good. Why did you never said, I called Katie and she said this and this and that. We found out Katie's story on social media when her name was put into it. You never said, Warren, that I called Katie to say, hey, is Nolan with you? You said as soon as the other guys told me that Nolan wasn't with them, why would he be with them? You listed right here in the police report that he was going to stay with the girl. So, of course, he wouldn't be with the guys. There would be no need to trigger a distress call to a Coast Guard if he was really with a girl, in my opinion. It goes on to read, based on the information provided, Odom did not have reason to believe there were any water Listen to this. Nolan, we don't know if he's dead or alive. And they had already made the call, law enforcement, that no water-related exigencies, look, I don't know how to say it, emergencies, and he believed the most likely scenario was Nolan rode in on another vessel, but did not have his phone in his possession to make contact with the family. No further action was taken by Kieran or his shift the morning of July 5th. Listen to this. Somebody's not being truthful. Okay, he rode home with a girl. You said it, in another vessel. You notated that he didn't have his phone. He'll call y'all later. His mom is just tripping. Nothing happened to him. No emergency needed. No further action needed. Then why would you call the Coast Guard? Something ain't right here. It don't make sense. It goes on to say at approximately 6 p.m. on July 5th, Kieran reported to the command post established by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office at Lake Mars Pier and assisted with efforts to include sending a MDMR patrol vessel and crew to the northwest tip of Horn Island to conduct sonar surveys of the area. The sonar surveys were inconclusive and terminated due to the adverse weather conditions. So either he's dead or he's not. Somebody's playing. Shame on you. Ocean Springs Police Department, Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the Coast Guard of Mississippi for brushing that mother off. When she called you, it didn't say you, Warren. It said his mom called him. Listen. On Saturday, July 4th, at 11:49 p.m., a caller called to report a missing male. Based on the information provided, the reporting party, Christine Wells Wansley, it didn't say nothing about Warren Hudson. Why? Remember, they did his call like they did the CETO call. Initially, the Coast Guard denied that Warren had called, allegedly. It said the caller. It's right here in front of you. It said Christine. Initially, the Coast Guard did not document Warren's call. They took it off record, only to have to come back and publicly correct and say, we did receive a call. Where is it? I got you. I'm with you. I told you they took it out. There is a record, but where is it? Oh, you have the record. Initially, and I showed you guys a few weeks ago, the Coast Guard had to come out publicly, listen to me, and say, we made a mistake. There was a call that was initiated on July 4th. Now, before we all go jumping to conclusions, they never said who. They said, we are not at liberty to tell you who, when, what, and where. We cannot tell you who made the call, the details of the call, because it's a what? It's an active, open investigation. There was not a record initially of Warren's call. We only learned about Warren's call because of Warren's mother. Warren's mother was the one that said it, not his stepmother, who's the judge. Warren's biological mom actually came out, and a lot of you have forgotten her statement. She was the one that said Warren called the Coast Guard. Hold on. But they rerouted Christine. They didn't take her serious and say, call the county sheriff's office, only to have to come back and eat those words. That nothing. It didn't seem like an emergency. We didn't believe. We didn't have reason to believe So that what did Warren tell you if you talk to Warren for 20 minutes, Warren said he stayed on the phone for 20 minutes. What were y'all talking about? Golf? Football? Baseball? Why would you need a 20-minute phone call to say, oh, there's no emergency? Would you not have been able to decide that in a 5-minute call? Only to find out there was an emergency and you had to come out the next day at 6 p.m. to search for Nolan. On July 5th at approximately 9 a.m., MDMR, so this is a supplemental investigation report, Lieutenant Colonel Jex requested drone assistance from Captain Freeman as a part of the search and rescue for Nolan Wells at Horn Island. So what? Hold on. What changed between Christine calling, you not taking her serious, telling her, just go report him as a missing person, to 9 a.m. the next morning, to requesting drone assistance? MDMR Lieutenant Matt Kozlovich transported Freeman by vessel to Horn Island. At approximately 10 a.m., Freeman attempted 3 launches with no success. A software issue was identified and unable to be repaired in the field. At approximately 10:30, Freeman requested Senior Master Sergeant Shay Smith report for duty with additional drones. So now at this point, they had drones out there the next day. They only searched, y'all, the search area was approximately 0.1 square miles and consisted of a parallel search pattern. That's sad. 0.1 square miles. The second flight launched at 1:22 p.m. And then they give you the longitude and latitude, right? The coordinates of where they were. This search was approximately, again, 0.1 square miles and consisted of a parallel search pattern. The second flight ended abruptly due to a battery separation from the drone. The excessive heat caused lithium-ion batteries to swell. Further flight attempts were canceled due to the excessive heat. Nolan Wells was not located during either flight. And then they have attached images. This is extremely sad, reading this on July 8th. So now we're 2 days after Nolan. See, now they stopped everything, right? We don't know what happened on the 6th. That's not included in this report. They jumped to the 8th. And you can go find this information, public information. So on July 5th, they spoke with Bart via phone, but then they met with him in person 5 days later. Why would you need to meet with Bart if Bart was not on a boat with Nolan? No, they didn't really look for him. 1 point. That's like you walking to your front gate from your door. Why would you need to meet with Bart if Bart was not even in the vicinity of Nolan Wells? But you met with Bart in person on July 8th at about 4 p.m., 4:09, between 4 to 4:10 p.m. Listen, Bart signed the permission to search form and escorted Smith down the pier. Vessel, they searched Bart's boat. Watch this. Hold on. Was in a boat lift on the north side of the residence. The vessel contained a pair of Garmin chart plotters and wired for sonar, waypoint, and chart sharing syncing. So he inserted a 32 gigabyte card into the unit and followed 2 prompts to copy data in a memory card. A single ADM file was downloaded and labeled as, on July 8th, he met with Jerry and Jennifer Pyron. They gave him their personal identifying information, license plate, and all of that. Bart, are you sure your boat was not involved? Because I'm just asking. And that attorney did not vouch for you. But your name is listed here on the missing persons report. And I just wanted to bring all of that to y'all's attention. Why would Bart file a missing part. Like, how did Bart get into it? If Warren is clear, if Morgan is clear, if Jax is clear, where does that leave Bart and Wyatt? And if you notice, it didn't say they spoke with Wyatt, because either Jerry is his grandpa, I'm guessing. I'm going to just say allegedly, because the grandpa got ahead of it. They spoke to the grandpa. I'm going to open up the lines real quick and let you all get in on this conversation. No, I know there was more than 3. If you're just getting here, there's at least 5 to 6 boats involved, you guys. One of them is black. And that could be the boat in question. Is that new information? No, it's not new. Nobody likes to get technical when we talk about cases like this. It's not new. My researchers were able to pull it. See, it's not fun telling you coordinates and GPS locations and all of that. That's not fun, right? Most people reach for the low-hanging fruit, the phenomenon, the entertainment piece of it. But when you start to look at what's in black and white and say, wait a minute, you mean to tell me there's a black boat that was searched? And nobody's talking about this mysterious black boat that doesn't appear in anybody's photos? No, it's not new information. It's been there the entire time, but nobody's really grasping for it because it's not fun. It's almost like a PowerPoint presentation. But it's very telling. A 2020 Tidecraft black boat that Bart listed on his missing persons report in the interest of Nolan Wells. Right here on the Cajun Navy's report, none of these boats are black. None of them. There's a gap. And I want to show you one thing. At approximately, I have to go all the way to, you see, these type of reports aren't fun, right? When you look at, especially if you're not an expert when it comes to nautical stuff and marine and understanding marine data. So most people skip over this as content creators, and I get it. But I want to point out something, if I can find it. This is the shoreline. This is the aircraft that the Cajun Navy was on board as they were searching for Nolan Wells. Right here, this is a aerial view. And it says the aerial images show the relationship between the north side anchorage shawl and the island tip. The image containing a scale bar, narrow arrow, and verified camera position, precise bearing should not something, but see, let me see if I can, some of it is cut off, unfortunately. So this is an aerial view. And I believe that little dot, I could be wrong. Well, I don't want to guess. I'm not going to say what I think. But I want to go down to something. There's conflicting reports that are listed here by the Cajun Navy where these upstanding people, is it Matthew Lamp? Because in this report, it's stating that at 5 p.m., Matthew Lamp states a passenger was pretty certain that a person was a part of a group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. He says the Bertram with the blue top left shortly afterward and fast. So this guy, I'm sorry. Listen to this. This report is saying the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island departed at 4:31. 4:31. Here's the thing, Warren and everybody. I have a question. Could it be that the boats that everybody came on, they probably didn't leave on? Do y'all get what I'm saying? by the time people are drinking and this and that and hanging out on different boats. And is that what y'all trying to get us caught up on? Oh, he wasn't on my boat. But it said the boat that Nolan came on left at 4:31 p.m. That would be your boat, Warren. But it doesn't mean that he didn't leave on one of the other boats. Your attorney is adamant that your boat left at 4:31 p.m. And could it be that Bart and Wyatt were not ready to leave yet? And Nolan was like, shh, I'll just stay with them. I don't know. It's a question mark. But in this report, the boat that Nolan arrived on Horn Island departed at 16:31. So I would have to believe that's your boat, right? If what you say is true. Some guy is saying, no, I saw Nolan at 5 p.m. And then a woman comes on and says, no, you didn't. That's not true. And as a result, it's listed as conflicting information in this report. So don't allow that attorney to fool you when he says in this interview, there's some upstanding people in Ocean Springs that can validate that Nolan was on the island. Nope, not according to the Cajun Navy report, because it was disputed that he was still there. It's a conflicting report. And that's how these attorneys will play on words to make you feel like Nolan stayed behind. That's hearsay. That's rumor. We're going off of the word of Warren Hudson and his friends, but we have yet to find any evidence to corroborate that Nolan Wells was on that island past 5 p.m. Why is that important? Because there's a time gap. Somebody's not telling the truth. Let me go to one more thing. Caitlin Brochard states at 7:30 p.m., Caitlin Brochard states they were parked next to the group. This is the group. Remember those boats I showed you? And that Nolan was nowhere in sight when their boat left at 7:30 p.m. At 4:50 p.m., boat number 2. Which one is boat number 2? Right here. Let me show you. I got to go. Oops, my bad. This is boat number 2. So at this point, boats are missing. You got boat number 1, boat X is missing, boat number 3, and boat number 2. It's a lot. I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. Watch this. Here's boat number 2. And what happened is they went and they combed through all of this digital evidence. And somebody said, well, there's cameras on Horn Island. Well, the report, this is what you're looking at, guys. They combed through it. The people that are being transparent. And at different times, certain boats are missing. So if you go all the way up right here, you got boat number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and 5. But there's also a black boat that Bart lists in the missing persons report that's not here. If we go back here, no, I want to go back to something else. Let me go all the way back down. I want to show you that one of those boats remained on Horn Island at a very low rate of speed. If I can find it, I may have to come back to it. This is Nolan on board the Triton. That would be boat number 2. That's the boat that Jerry Ackerson mentioned in his missing persons report. Hold on. I wanted to show you one more thing. These are just photos that they were able to extract from Horn Island. One of them is looks like 3:23 p.m., 4:27 p.m. But there's something else. Watch this, the Triton water ingress question. None of the supplied stills, videos, correspondence, or social media screenshots establishes when the Triton began taking on water. The report, therefore, does not assign a cause. The strongest evidence that could resolve this question would include original onboard photos. What they're saying is there's no evidence to corroborate the boys' story. They've combed through everything possible, and they were not able to validate and or confirm that that boat actually took on water. There is no evidence. Let's continue. Hold on. Oh, I was supposed to be sharing this right here. This is where I'm talking about. None of unresolved. The current findings, did this boat take on water, is still unresolved. You know how Nolan's independent autopsy is undetermined? They were not able to reach a satisfactory conclusion that that boat actually took on water. And these people don't have a dog in this fight. Nothing, no videos, screenshots can establish, corroborate that that boat took on water. Let's get to something else on this Cajun Navy report. This is where the social media discrepancy comes in with the good folks in Ocean Springs who's saying, oh, one of my passengers is pretty certain that Nolan was a part of the group that was almost fighting around 5 p.m. The Bertram, that's the boat with the blue top that I posted, left shortly after that and pretty fast. The owner of the boat comes back and say, you are sadly mistaken. We are the group that you yelled at as you were thinking we were going to hit you, and we weren't. And we were paying attention. That was a totally different kid that was with us. And I was with the Bertram boat, and we have no affiliation with Nolan Wells. So what she's basically saying, let me tell you what's happening here. This is a phenomenon of sorry white people where you think all black kids look alike. So these eyewitness accounts, yeah, I saw a black kid, must have been Nolan. The owner of that boat said, no, it wasn't. That's a completely different kid that was on the boat with us. And it wasn't Nolan Wells. Then you go back, right? And if I can't find it, and that's when the analytical significance of this sighting of Nolan Wells cannot be confirmed, as two statements have conflicted each other. It's like asking one person, hey, what color is an apple? Or what color shirt does he have on? It looks like a dark gray. The other one says, no, it kind of looks like a charcoal gray, kind of black to me. Neither one of them can be validated. You have one person that says, I saw him on your boat. He was not on my boat. So there's no analytical significance. Therefore, the material cannot responsibly be presented as confirmed. It cannot, nor has it been confirmed, that Nolan Wells was still on that island at 5 p.m., you guys. The missing piece, number 11, the evidence presently supplied does not answer the most important question. What happened during the uncorroborated interval immediately before the asserted departure of the boat on which Nolan arrived at Horn Island? The Cajun Navy is not buying their story. You can go read this report. It's very, very detailed, especially if you're an expert a boating expert. Just go comb through it for yourself. But I want to get to the part where they tracked this boat, if I can still find it. I'm not going to waste your time. 2 of the boats was still on that island a little bit after 5:30, traveling at a very low speed for about 3 miles. You said on page 5. Okay. 2 of the boats that said they left the island, because everybody's story is we left, right? But you really didn't. Let me see. I don't see it. You said it on page 5? I don't think so. Oh, that's 4. I'm on page 5. I don't see it. And it has it in this report. For those of you that are tuned in, if you want to go look at the report, it's going to show you. But it's not on page 5. Let me go to page 6. Now look at this. This is where I need y'all's help. At the bottom. Okay, I'll check the bottom. Right here, if you look at this report, and this is what, look, I don't pretend to know everything. So I need your help with this. It says, good evening. As a part of our response, the MSDMR requests SAR data related to the missing person, Nolan Wells. The MDMR will use this data to start sonar scans in the area. While information is still limited, we request the following be used for the data. Date, July 4th, 2026. Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Why were they searching for Nolan at 6 p.m. on July 4th if he was supposed to be with Katie? Food intake, unknown. Alcohol intake, heavy. Clothing, shorts only. It says this figure 2 that we're looking at is supplied MDMR correspondence showing the 6 p.m. Central Standard Time search datum in original origin vessel GPS reference. I'm confused, you guys. If Warren called the Coast Guard at 11 p.m., and Christine called the Coast Guard at 11:49 p.m. the night of July 4th. So you mean to tell me you had a 5-hour head start or advance notice that something was happening with Nolan? Who made a call at 6 p.m.? Then that will give credence and credibility to the audio call for Cito. Because 2 of those boats did not leave Horn Island until 5:25. So you mean to tell me 35 minutes later, a call came in about Nolan Wells that's listed in figure 2? Let's go to page number 5. You said at the bottom. I'm here. I don't see it. This is page 5 at the bottom. We're here. This is page number 5 at the bottom. I'm talking to one of my people, y'all, in the chat. They're trying to point me to show you guys where 2 boats were traveling at a low speed at 5:25 for almost 3 miles. So you mean to tell me after that, and then they took off at a high speed. And so 35 minutes later, somebody makes a call about Nolan? I don't think it's on page 5. Yeah, this is page 5 at the bottom. Oh, I see what you're trying to say. No, I don't see it. Okay. You said the video during the call shows more than the audio ever will. No Nolan on any boat, period. There's a black boat that you didn't know about until I showed you today. And we don't even know what the metadata is on that video. I can tell you this, I did see proof that even Officer Tatum did not substantiate the video. He said he's not sure of the date and the time. What report? You got to come up here too. What report? Go to the report. Oh, hold on. I got you. The other report? Okay, give me 1 second. I got it. Give me 1 second. Oh, I got it. I found it. Here we go. Boom. Here we go. Got it. Here we go. If you look here, date, time, location, action, right here, I've highlighted it for you. Let me go ahead and see if I can make this big. It says right here, 9:56, the vessel departs the residence for Horn Island. The vessel arrives the tip of Horn Island. Now, remember, y'all, they are only focused on one boat in these reports. There were 6 boats. At 4:30, between 11:15 to 4:30 p.m., the GPS dropping points are consistent with a stationary position, and the GPS is turned on. So 11, 12, 1, 2, for 5 hours, they did exactly what they said they did. We were on the island having a good time. That's right here. At 4:31 to 5:24, almost an hour, the vessel departs the tip of Horn Island, northbound speed between 0.06 and 42 knots for approximately 2.7 miles. Watch this. At 5:25, the vessel regains normal operation and takes off. The speed is 30 to 35 knots. Why is this important? Because you told us you left Horn Island at 4:30, but that leaves almost an hour. Remember when the Cajun Navy said there's a time gap that we can't account for with Nolan between 4:30 and 5? It's actually an hour and not 30 minutes. What were you doing for an hour? And then you arrived at the same home at 5:44, right? And then you leave again 14 minutes later and you go into Fort Bayou. And then you come back 15 minutes later at 6:06 back to the house. And then you leave again at 7:19 p.m. And they left that off of this report. Let's read it again. They want us to believe they left Horn Island at 4:30, but they didn't. They left at 5:30. And whatever they were doing, they were on a different. They were for 3 miles. I don't know what they were doing. But it wasn't included in their initial story. That's all I'm saying. So when you're forthcoming, hey, listen, let me tell you something. Actually, we left at 5:30, not 4:30. What were y'all doing? And that's the part that's unaccounted for, y'all. What happened between 4:30 and 5:30? How come you're not talking about that window of time? Great Karma says, hold on. So the good people of Ocean Springs seen Nolan at about 6 while a report is documenting his food intake and personal demographics. Boom. It's a lie. Listen, I just put it in front of you. Take what you need and discard the rest. It's a lie. They have the configuration of the report of where he was last seen. That call was made at 6, 35 minutes after that boat pulled off at a speed of 30 to 35 knots. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. And for those of you to say, oh my God, use common sense. No, I'm not using common sense. I want to know what happened. Warren said that the engine was off. He said the engine was off. The data said no, the engine was not off. You were traveling. You were definitely traveling. Go listen to Warren's interview. He said the engine was off. The engine was on because they picked it up. They picked it up that you were traveling really low, almost kind of like you didn't want to. You wanted to fly below the radar. That's all I'm saying. Would the engine be on if you need to be towed? They were probably dropping off people where? If I rode with you on 4 to 5 boats, 4 to 6 boats, where would you be dropping me off? Remember, Warren said they all went back to Jax's house and stayed there. And he and his buddies, see, y'all don't listen. Warren made an entire detailed interview. And at a particular time that night, he and his buddies got together and stepped aside from the rest of the crowd and made the call. But who made the call at 6 p.m.? 35 minutes after the boat left. This is one boat, not all boats. There was 5 to 6 boats involved. The question is, what boat was Nolan really on? And do we have the data on the other boats? That's all. I'm aware. You said Warren didn't have a boat. He said he called Bart to ask him if he could take. So why is he doing so much talking then? Warren didn't have a boat. He said he called Bart to ask him if he could take him and some friends out to the island. Bart said yes, because his dad wasn't going to go out on a boat. I got that. Why is Bart being quiet? Why did Bart make a missing persons report in the interest of Nolan Wells? You said who took those pictures and times that they were taken? You think so? I don't know. But I know the boat that he listed as the vehicle in question is a 2020 black boat. It wasn't any of the white boats that we thought it was. It wasn't any of the boats that the other guys listed. And this is more detail here. Oh, the boat left a few times. I didn't know about, so the boat, let's go back. I didn't finish. If you look here, the boat returns to El Camino Real Road at 6. So why are we going back and forth to Fort Bayou for a boat that's sinking? You go to El Camino, 14 minutes you leave. You go back to the residence at 6:06, and then you leave again at 6:36 to St. Martin Bayou. And then you go back to Fort Bayou boat launch. Head that way, and you get there at 7:19. And then, like, almost 30 minutes later, somebody shows up, and then they trailered you to a different house. The last data point that was recorded on this particular boat, not all the boats, was at 7:59 p.m. Remember I told you all, I said by then it was dark when they started moving that boat around additional times. Why are we moving a sinking boat, a boat that's dangerous, that's not fit for sail? Hold on. So 7:59 p.m. The next day, they turned the boat on. And then they moved the boat 52 feet. And then they turn it back on at 9:53. They turn it back on at 10:27 a.m. And then by 4 p.m., 4:50, the police, the MDMR police officer Strickland powered on the GPS to search for coordinates. Then they turn it off 20 minutes later. And then they came back. I don't know what they're looking for. They turn back on the GPS with the permission to search, and one ADM file was downloaded. So why is the police going back and forth? I'm not saying anything bad happened, but is it something that's not lining up with the stories? And the police are simply trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Those are my questions. Bart Wyatt. This attorney made it very clear that his boys, their hands are clean. He said it. I didn't. I'll play it again. Right here. I'll play it again. I can't make this up. Not my words, his.
I know you're enjoying this incredible interview. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and also join our membership program. Let's get back to the interview. And how confident are you? Because you just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it?
Confidence not a strong enough word. In fact, beyond a reasonable doubt is not strong enough. There's a 0% chance that they did anything wrong. So this is not 90%. It's not 99%. It's not 99.9999. There's no decimals. There's no anything. It's 100%. 100.000%, nothing. They did nothing wrong. And that's the problem for our opponents here, who have ruined their lives, dragged them through the mud, and attacked them. You don't get to lie. We have the First Amendment. We love our First Amendment, but you don't get to lie and hurt people. You want to lie and it doesn't hurt people? Fine. You lie and you hurt people. That's why we have defamation. And that's what this is about. So I just want to emphasize this in the strongest possible terms. Zero wrongdoing. Completely innocent, totally innocent, and categorically innocent.
And you guys have had...
All right. He said, Morgan, I can't tell you about anybody else, but let me tell you, Morgan, Jackson Warren had nothing to do with Nolan Wells' death.
Experiences with either people threatening you online. I know that, Warren, we talked about this before, and we talked a little, or at least spoke a little bit about when you go out, you guys are getting accosted by people. Can you give us an example of, or at least tell the audience an example?
And that's what's important. And unfortunately, because there are people who want to divide a town and come in from the outside and tell people what to think and pit neighbor against neighbor, it compounds the tragedy. It magnifies the tragedy. And I just want to say this. Here's why it's an even bigger tragedy. Because my friends here, Morgan, Jax, and Warren, these guys are not just the finest that Ocean Springs has to offer, finest that Mississippi has to offer. These are the finest young men that America has to offer. You know, really great people. And Tyler actually taught me good Ocean Springs people. That was one of the first things I heard when I got here. So I'll just say that they're good Ocean Springs people.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you're enjoying this incredible interview. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and also just met these young men more recently. And are you confident that these young men had nothing to do with it?
Confidence not a strong enough word. In fact, beyond a reasonable doubt is not strong enough. There's a 0% chance that they did anything wrong. So this is not 90%. It's not 99%. It's not 99.9999. There's no decimals. There's no anything. It's 100%. 100.000%. Nothing. They did nothing wrong. And that's the problem for our opponents here who have ruined their lives. It's not 99%.
All right. He said, Morgan, these three are innocent. And he's confident, but beyond a 99.9% reasonable doubt. He's overly confident, but he did not speak to the likeness of Wyatt and or Bart. He has been retained as a defamation attorney working alongside a criminal defense attorney for these guys. What are your thoughts? Let's continue.
Just drag them through the mud and attack them. You don't get to lie. We have a First Amendment. We love our First Amendment, but you don't get to lie and hurt people. You want to lie and it doesn't hurt people? Fine. You lie and you hurt people. That's why we have defamation. And that's what this is about. So I just want to emphasize this in the strongest possible terms. Zero wrongdoing. Completely innocent, totally innocent, and categorically innocent.
And you guys have had experiences with either people threatening you online. I know that one.
This is your time to fire off. The lines are open for anybody that would like to share their opinion, their point of view. The lines are open. All you have to do is click the link, follow the prompts, and we will bring you into the live show. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Higher love for self. You said this is some good information to look more into. I hope the right people are listening. Thank you, Queen. This is great research. It's my pleasure. Not always fun. DFD Haley, thank you for the 5-piece. You said, my question is, what was the purpose of them filming them towing the boat? It's giving cover up. Let me ask you something. For those of you that said that you witnessed the towing of the boat, is there an actual video? I saw still shots. Did you actually see a video of a boat being towed? Because I didn't. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. I saw still shots. That's what I saw. All right. I think we got this one. Okay. Yep. We got it. Looks like we got all of the super chats. Thank you all for using your super chat. And look, if you're not comfortable calling in and talking, I get it. Use the super chat feature. We'll highlight your comments, put them on the screen, and take it from there. All right. We're going to let you all come into the live. We see people are calling in, and this is the way it's going to work. We're going to give you 60 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds to fire off. You got to make sense, though. Okay? You ain't got to say what I want you to say. But when you hear this sound, that means it's time for me to go to the next caller. Let's bring in our first caller. Vonda, welcome to the live. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Sugar Bear. So I'm gonna keep it simple. Let me tell you what I really think. I don't believe there was no intentional to kill him. I think they were having fun. They were young kids. And also, I believe it was over drinking and maybe some drugs was included. And I believe they all was doing it. Something went wrong, maybe in an argument, rough handling each other and, they're kids. So something happened wrong. So to take it off the kids, I believe that's why in that call that the Coast Guard was caught by the grandfather and said, no, don't go out there. Because then I do believe something happened and the kids were panicking and the parents came out there and said, y'all all go back on this boat, whether it was leaking or not. Go back. We got this. And so shut up. Don't say nothing. We got this to protect them. When it should have been, maybe they was drinking, maybe they got too high too much, and it was just an overdose. But because now it was so much secretive and so much covering it up. Now it's now beyond that. When it could have been, he got too drunk. It was a tussle. It was a unintentional death. But then y'all covered it up. I believe the grandfathers and them showed up to tow them and take them away. And they took that body and they dumped that body somewhere. And that's why the kids was able. Okay, I got the damn ding, but I wasn't even in the end of it. That's
All
why they
right,
would.
Wanda, I got to go to the next
Yeah,
caller. We
okay,
appreciate you.
okay.
All right, let's go to the next caller. James, are you ready? Welcome to the live show. James Harlem, what are your thoughts?
How do you do, Queen? I appreciate the hard work that you invested in this case. It's showing, and I thank you from all my heart because it could have been a child of mine, and I have 3. My statement is that I'm hoping and praying that us as Black people stop referring to these possible murderers as the boys. The way that that term is being thrown around to describe them almost sound like a term of endearment, and I don't think that they deserve that. That's definitely for one. 2, I'm not going to be that long. They should have been a arrest made as soon as the audio was cleared up, and you can hear in the background that they were saying, "Is he dead? Get up!" And they were basically putting him on that boat or some boat very close to where the call was coming from. So it's evident that something happened. He was there, and they basically described it in their excitement at the time. That's indisputable evidence that something happened and that they know what happened. So arrest should have been made. And then lastly, I haven't heard anything about the female voices that were heard in the recording. I'm not sure how many people were there, but I heard no names of the females that we heard on that recording. And Queen, thank you again for all that you are doing for us.
All right, I appreciate you calling in. That's James. James said you bring about some really good points. Who were the girls in the audio call? Will we ever know? Oh, y'all, you said, oh, you have a nice voice. I don't know if you're talking to me or James, but thank you. Listen, is there any other new callers? The lines are open. What are your thoughts? We are not an echo chamber. Especially if you're vocal in the chat. Now's your time to shine. We got an overlay. Nobody knows who you are. Thank you. These are not kids. They're young adults. They are young adults. Anybody else? Any new thoughts? New ideologies? Opinions? There's no right or wrong way. The lines are open. Well, if they're going to implicate Nolan in that, they're going to have to implicate everybody, because Warren went on record to say there was drinking. There was drinking. The thing is, Warren's comfortable speaking, and I've said this before. Warren, I believe that you invited Nolan along. I don't think the invitation was extended by way of the owners of the boats. I think Nolan was on by way of default. I don't think the owners, Bart, was like, hey, make sure Nolan comes. I don't think Jerry Ackerson, Wyatt, was like, hey, make sure Nolan comes. I think that's your Black friend that you invited, and you have to clean up this mess. Let's go to the next caller. A true lady. Welcome to the live stream. What are your thoughts?
Why, thank you, Queen, and God bless you. I love the work that you do. You are so detailed. I am so very proud. Flowers to you, my Queen. I'm going back a little bit, but I just think, had Nolan had drowned, as they first started to say in the beginning, had that first autopsy been cleared and given out to everyone, none of this would be happening right now. If it's so cut and dried that he drowned, then why did they hide the first autopsy? None of this would be happening right now if they had shown the first autopsy proving that he drowned. I don't understand that portion.
Okay, is that a question? Or keep going, keep going.
It's a statement and a question. I mean, even to this day, we still don't have it. But if he drowned like they said, I mean, like again, like what I just stated, why didn't they prove it? They had the autopsy there. He drowned, prove it. Here's the lungs full of water, here's his chest full of water. But instead, they hid those parts so that the second autopsy could not be done. So if he did drown, they could have plenty of chances to prove it already, and none of this would be happening. None of this back and forth. And what I really don't like about Tatum is how he's disrespecting Nolan Wells' mom. And also these boys, if they were so good friends like they stated they were, none of them showed up to the house. You couldn't keep me from my best friend's house. I don't care what the family thought about me. If my best friend passed away, especially an accident or something so severe like that, I'd be out that house every day wondering what I can do. Or at least I would be defending their mom. Hey, get off of his mother. Stop talking about her. She's a nice lady. I mean, there's no defense there at all from none of these kids. And if they didn't do it, because I don't know who did it, if they didn't do it, they certainly should have something else going on for themselves besides sitting up here on this stage looking at each other dumbfounded. You know, if they didn't do it, they should really be saying it. Hey, look, we didn't do it. But you know, if they didn't do it and they saw who did it, they're just as guilty. Just as guilty.
All right, that you heard it here from a true lady. I have to agree with you. I think it's very, very diabolical. I think it's extremely disrespectful to the mother of Nolan Wells that those boys are attempting to shift the blame to her. I think it's disgusting, if you ask me. She did no harm, no foul. She's doing everything that your parents would do had it been you that was missing. B, 1963, welcome to the live. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Queen, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. You're doing an awesome job and we appreciate you. But I have one question that I just wonder and been wondering about. I know there is supposed to be a timeline as for the coroner's office of the state of Mississippi that they have a certain time. I know it takes time to do an autopsy, but how is it that they have the right to keep that lady's son's body and organs and don't have a time frame that they should be able to turn it over and release that? I think I don't understand that one. That's a question. Can you help me understand that? And thank you again. Thank you for doing a great job.
No problem. Thank you. Let me gather my thoughts. Let me think. Hold on. Give me a couple of seconds. I really don't have a legitimate reason, so I can only come from my own personal opinion. And I'm going to say they're just treating his body like property of the state and not a human being.
Yes, and I think that is so horrible. That's what I just can't fathom in my head. It keeps going over and over. Why is it that they, and I know, and I guess another question is, should there be a law put in place that I know with they, you know, when they have autopsy, you know, depending on it, they said all the experts say it might take months or so, but at some point, that's her child, Queen. How does she not have the right to be able to demand that they turn over what they found? And now they saying it's going to the what? It's going up to the I don't know, but it's not going to be turned over
To the grand jury.
to the grand jury. I don't understand it, and I really want to know. That's a question that I don't understand it. I don't.
All right. Well, thank you, B. 1963. Ebony Noel provides somewhat of an answer. She said it is property of the state while there is a pending investigation. There you have it. Vonda, you got 45 seconds before I got to go to the next caller. Come on, Vonda, take yourself off mute. Vonda, come off mute. You're talking to yourself. You got to unmute.
No, I always do that bullshit right there where I'll be on mute. But I just want to say, I want to say there is an aspect of this investigation where it's saying that I got this damn TV on. What? Let me the owners of the boat. Messing up my fucking 45 seconds. So I'm saying on the aspect of that, how is that where it says the black coach said he talked to Nolan, and then Katie talked to Nolan, and then Warren. I watched an interview where it's an investigative person, where they interrogate your ass, and you're FBI guy. He says nobody picked up that. Warren said the last physical he said he's seen Nolan at 3:30, but then he turns around and says at 4:30. Now 3:30 said he left Nolan on the island, but then he turns around and say at 4:30 he heard whoever screaming, "You get back on the boat!" And then he said then I only see him sitting at the bottom of the boat or somebody's boat, hugged up with Katie. Now, is it you last seen him at 3:30? You said you seen him at 3:30. It's in the Tatum interview. And Tatum didn't back that up and said, wait, you just said 3:30. It was the last time you put your eyes on him. But then you came around and then said you heard the boy saying, get back on the boat by 4 o'clock. And then you seen him hugged up with Katie. So which one is it? And Tatum, as he said he a cop, he should have said, wait a minute, boy, you just said 3:30 was the last time you seen him. So then now how you heard somebody screaming for him to get on the boat at 4:30, and then you seen him and Katie hugged up. That's crazy. And the guy says, as an investigative person, they would have backed him up and said, okay, now there's a discrepancy. You just said 3:30 was the last time you spent. So how can you see him at the bottom of the boat or sitting on the edge of the boat hugged up with her? What the hell? That don't make sense to me. And that's what I'm saying. So was he post? Okay.
All right. All right. Let's go to Kumpo High. Tina Turner, you're up next. Tina, I need you to go to your settings. Make sure you connect your audio and your camera. Your camera doesn't have to be on, but your device, Tina, is not connected. Kumpo High, welcome. What are your thoughts? Cheryl, you're up next.
Queen, interestingly enough, the boys, the man boys, the morning that they were having breakfast and they said somebody came and said to them, why aren't you all out helping to look for Nolan? Do you remember that?
Go ahead. I'm trying to think. Go ahead.
It was the morning that they were searching for Nolan, Sunday morning. It was July the 5th.
Keep going.
Well, Warren said in his interview with Tatum, he said, yeah, me and my buddy, if you look, that interview right there is enough for probable cause. He said they came into and they said, well, why you not helping the search? And Warren said, well, they already said we did it.
Okay.
And the girl said, what do you mean? Why aren't you out helping? They were still searching for Nolan. That was Sunday morning. July the 4th was the day before. It was, what, 6-7 hours? Why would you say that to somebody in your own town? The world didn't know yet. We were still looking. They were still searching. They hadn't even found his body yet. So when you say they already think we did it, who is they? That guilty conscience is sitting around haunting that boy, the man boys. Every night they go to sleep. Whoever did it, all this distraction, getting lawyers and having them do this fanfare about your reputation. What reputation? You kept his phone and then you mocked the mother by saying, oh, have you heard from Nolan? How's she gonna hear from Nolan if you got his cell phone? Answer that question to me. How is she going to hear from him? Is he supposed to scream from the island? How from him?
Right. Excellent points made by Kumpo High. Tina Turner, you're up next. Tina, what are your
Hey,
thoughts? Welcome to
Queen.
the live stream.
Yes, I was thinking, just laying here thinking about Lifetime. A movie I saw on Lifetime one time about the small towns, the rich part of the small towns. It looked like to me what's going on down there in Mississippi. There is a big cover up, like you said, more than we know. It runs deep. That's my thought. I'm thinking because this is the rich part of Mississippi. So I'm thinking all the rich families and all the boys that was there, they think they're so privileged that they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it because of the parents. Well, the thing about that is everything is done in the dark. And what's in the washing don't come out, but it will come out in the rinsing. And the thing about that is it runs so deep to me. I'm figuring that everything the parents told these kids what to say, what to do, it was a big cover up with everybody that had something to do with me saying that, like, oh, we're rich, we can do this, we can do whatever we want to. But it was made like that for them. That's how they were raised. They have so much privilege that they think. And this young boy, and then, Queen, I'm thinking like this. Who says they name two black friends that they say they're friends? I know two black boys that we treat like brothers. Why only two? How many black people live down there? How many black people go to your school? Or how many black people do you know? Why would you say two? That lead me to believe you name only two people, Nolan and the other guy, Tristan. You are not friends. Friends don't leave friends. If my friend died, I would cry. I would be so heartbroken. And I would not blame the mother because you say she started this. You started once you left her son on that island or whatever y'all did. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's Tina Turner. All excellent points. We're going to go to the next caller, Freshly, and then Tia, you're up next. Welcome to the live stream. Freshly, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Queen. I just have a question. I don't know if you can answer it or if there is a.
You are you got to come closer to your microphone. We can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
You kind of sound muffled. Let's see. Are you wearing earpods?
No, I'm not.
Are you wearing a microphone? I mean, do you have
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you kind of, go ahead. Let's give it a shot.
Hello?
Go ahead. You got to speak up though. You got to project.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's at a very low volume. But let's try to get through it.
Okay. I don't know if you can answer the question or if it's a medical professional in the chat, but being that his body wasn't in that good of a condition when they found him, would they be able to tell his time of death? Because I think that will give us a time frame to help solve what happened to him.
All excellent questions. Thank you, Freshly. She said, based on the autopsy, will they be able to give us a determination, the time of death, the manner of death, all of that? Well, that's some of the things you can refer back to the independent autopsy. He said because of the state of the body, different organs that were missing, he was unable to determine. So we are heavily reliant on the state of Mississippi to come through with the correct answers and also full transparency at the table. And so far, we haven't gotten that. Excellent questions. Welcome, Lady Tia. What are your thoughts? Welcome to the live stream.
Hey, Queen, you can hear me?
You're good to go.
Okay. So I'm going to be very brief. I got 3 different points I want to make. First of all, Warren, when he first interviewed, he said that Nolan spent the night with him and I believe Wyatt, correct?
He just said at a buddy's. He said at a buddy's.
At a buddy. So I'm assuming the buddy was Wyatt because he said then also when it said that him and Wyatt went to the McDonald's and they then end up hitching the boat on to the truck. So I'm assuming that because he hadn't said Wyatt's name yet. So I'm assuming he was talking about Wyatt. So I do believe that Warren is the one who invited Nolan. 2, another one is, have y'all seen the videos of people that's went out there to the island and showing that there are a lot of houses around that island area, that there's a lot of people have went out there and seen that these houses and these businesses have cameras. Why haven't those, nobody has talked about them asking for camera views? Anybody got Ring cameras and things like that may have been houses that are directed towards that island and may have seen anything that may have went on. Now, my third one is one I'm kind of asking you the question or making a point of. When the Cajun Navy guy, didn't he say when he got the phone call from Nolan's mom, they went out to the island within 30 minutes to go searching? It was like 1:30 in the morning or something like that?
He said 30 to 45 minutes. They were out there July 5th. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was July 5th late morning or after, because if she got the phone call at 11 p.m. from Warren, that was July 4th, right? That was still July 4th. If she called them after the Cajun or got in touch with the Cajun Navy after she talked to Warren, that means that, and they got out there 45 minutes later, that means it was in the late hours when they went to the island, which would means that they were already out there searching for
A
him.
lively
The Cajun
holiday
Navy,
atmosphere on Horn
Go ahead.
the
I'm gonna let
Nation,
you know. Mhm.
the Cajun Navy guy also said they had been out there for 24 hours at that point after, they had gotten the phone call, went out there. He asked them some questions and they went out there. Now, Warren said that on his interview that next morning, him and his buddies went out on their own. Wouldn't the Cajun Navy would already been out there looking? So I would think that he would have said, well, we went out there that morning, we saw people already searching for him. He didn't say nothing like that. He's saying it as if they was out there alone looking that morning. So I was just trying to clarify that the Cajun Navy guy said 45 minutes, 45 minutes after talking to her, late in the hour, they went out there immediately. That means they had been searching, and he said it had been 24 hours and they hadn't found him yet. So that would have been July the 5th all the way going on to the 6th, right?
Yep. Well, let me play it. I'm gonna let you wrap up, Lady Tia.
Yeah, that's all I wanted because I'm trying to correlate what he's saying, which don't make sense. Did you go out there that morning? Because if you did, you should have seen the Cajun Navy out there also. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, no problem. That's Lady Tia. So let's do this. Let's operate in a fact. Let's play with the Cajun Navy. His name is Josh Gill. He was dispatched on the behalf of Nolan Wells. Someone called him to say, hey, my friend's son is missing. Let's see what he had to say to refresh your memories.
Yes, can you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Josh Gill. I'm from Louisiana. I'm the incident commander for the United Cajun Navy.
And how long have you been with the organization?
Been with the organization on and off since its inception. Really been instrumental in the role for a couple years now.
And shifting over to the Nolan Wells case, can you describe the water conditions surrounding Horn Island for those of us who are not familiar with the area?
Sure. So Horn Island's off the coast of Mississippi. I believe about 10 miles off the coast. It's a 144 square mile island. It's pretty big. It's a location that's in the Gulf of Mexico / Gulf of America, whichever nomenclature you want to use. It's a destination area for boaters, right? Fishermen, boaters, recreational boaters as well. July 4th weekend, the water wasn't extremely rough. It was a normal day, I'd say.
So that's one thing he was able to corroborate that Warren said. It was the perfect day. July 4th weekend, the waters were not rough. It's unlikely. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but based on the conditions of the water, it's probably unlikely that Nolan got carried off by a current and accidentally drowned. That's just my personal opinion, based on what Warren has described the weather as being, and based on what Josh is describing the weather and the water conditions.
Light swells, maybe up to 1 foot. There is a pretty heavy tidal surge and tidal movement on that portion of the island where they were at. It's a pass between two islands. So there's increased tidal influence right there, along with wind and wave action.
Okay. And is the area popular during the holiday, during 4th of July weekend?
Extremely popular. All summer long, it's popular. Like I said, there'll be anywhere from a few hundred boats to it could be over 1,000.
And can the water conditions change at all when the sun begins to set around the area?
Sure. Conditions can change rapidly there. It's not exceptionally deep, which calls for the ability for conditions to change quickly.
Can you walk us through the timeline from the moment that Nolan was reported missing?
Sure. So to the best of my knowledge, again, I didn't get a call till that next day. As I appreciate, late that evening, Nolan was on the beach. The vessel that he came with left. And from there.
Now, remember, this report was, he came out with this interview a few days after Nolan's body washed up on shore, described by the Cajun Navy as if he were taking a nap. Okay. At this point, the Cajun Navy, just like the rest of us, only had the word of the guys to go on. And I don't think at this point anybody was heavy on not believing their account of events. So that's what he's sharing with you.
We don't know what happened, right? Again, I'm just a volunteer. I'm running volunteer operations. I'm not law enforcement. So what happened really isn't what I'm looking for. What I look for a search is that last known location, and then specifics about the area or specifics about the person. Knowing that that northwest corner of Horn Island was what we call the LKL, last known location. From there, we looked at the weather conditions, tidal conditions, wind conditions to come up with a plan, come up with a grid on what we could do. As within 30 to 45 minutes of when I got notification of him missing from the family and then from the mother, we had surface vessels, that's boats, that were in the area starting to search. We also had 2 drones that were in the air, as well as boots on the ground on the island doing a manual walk to look for Nolan there. That next day, yesterday, we had at daylight 4 vessels, 2 more people, as well as a fixed-wing aircraft in the air that started 6:15-ish, 6:30.
And when Nolan's mom did reach out to you, what was her tone like? Did she give you any information that could help in the search?
Oh, absolutely. So, and again, you can understand the frantic. She was frantic. She wanted to know everything that was going on and what we could do to provide resources, what we could do to help her find her son. I mean, that's issue number 1, find Nolan. But again, she was, with everything that was going on, Miss Christine was extremely calm when she was providing that information. And I asked some very tough questions. And I just wanted to make sure that, she understood all the questions that I asked are related to helping me find the location to search.
All right. So I'm going to skip through really quick to the part where they focused their investigation and why they chose to never move from the northwest tip of Horn Island.
Just basic information, stuff that I gathered off of social media, as well as information from the mother. Nothing that was super relevant to finding Nolan or to searching for Nolan.
So what he's saying is that the interviewer said, did you speak to any of the boys, any of the so-called friends that were with Nolan? He said, I am not at liberty to share that because this is an open investigation. However, it was nothing that would help me aid in finding Nolan. Do you get my drift when I said they were at the mercy of the boys? The boys were not forthcoming, even to the rescue people. So he had to rely on social media like the rest of us.
Just information that he got left on the island. Left or he wasn't there, possibly, hopefully, and as we prayed that he may have made it onto another boat. So what we do is we gather information, right? We gather as much information as possible. We then blast it out to social media. We've got a huge following, and this one went extremely viral to ask for help. The more people that see something, they could possibly say something. So we actually, at the time of him being found, we had people in the air, we had boats on the water, we had boots on the ground, on land, on the mainland as well, looking in 3 different locations where people had said he may have been seen that day, that evening before.
That's sad. They were just giving these people a run for their money. Oh, he's on the mainland. So they had dispatched resources to the mainland, y'all, playing with these people. While they had drones, airplanes, vessels in the water. Let's continue. And then we're going to go to the next caller.
That evening he came up missing. So we take into account everything, every tip, hey, go look here. We do that. We do it because we want to make sure we're providing all the resources that we possibly can, checking everything out, and letting the family know that, hey, every life matters to us. It doesn't matter race, creed, color, religion, nationality. I don't care. We want to make sure that every family understands we're putting every bit of effort into it.
Did the search effort shift in any way after the 24-hour period when Nolan was still not found?
No, we remained steady with our search and our operations. We coordinated with the local Jackson County Sheriff's Office. We let them know what our grid pattern was. We sent them our grid in our search areas, and we coordinated with them. Again, we notified them and let them know that we would be in the area, in the air, as well as on the ground in multiple locations.
Were the members of the Cajun Navy on the island when the body believed to be Noah was found? And are you able to disclose any details on where the whereabouts of the body?
So I would rather not disclose any of the details. It is an open investigation. We were not on the island. We were in the air.
And from your understanding, was the body, again, believed to be Noah, was it found in the same area as where the 18-year-old was last seen?
As I appreciate it was within close proximity to that northwest corner of the island.
18-year-old Nolan.
And this is the northwest corner of the island. All right, let's go to the next caller. Welcome, Tim. What are your thoughts, Tim?
How you doing? This is my first time on your show.
Welcome,
Yeah,
welcome. What are your
yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. I mean, I think the proof is already in the pudding already. Everything that's being pushed out, I can I see that those GPS coordinates is very key. With the when you said that the boats, some of the boats didn't have the GPS. They only had one recording. That's right there. That right there told me what time it was already. When they didn't show recordings of the other boats, but only showed recordings on only one being moved. So that right there kind of made me feel like yeah they're trying to manipulate or all the information not being put out there, and then how the media is pushing it out there too. So I can see the whole play without even. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is crazy. You can see the play. You can see the play.
I see what you're saying. You're saying of all, so maybe he didn't ride back on that boat, but there was 5 of these boats that went out. Go ahead.
When you said that because it was I think Tisa Tales was talking about the fourth boat, like because for example, like I'm thinking I didn't think that boats had GPS, but I'm thinking when you said GPS, something like, oh, my car has a GPS. If I don't make the payment, they can find my car. But some of those boats didn't have tracking to it, so it's like he probably likely did go on a boat, but it wasn't the boat that was being tracked. They knew that already. So I'm like, this is crazy.
Yes, I get what you're saying, and that could it be? You knew he went on that boat, but he was probably on a different one, and you're trying to put the GPS coordinates of one boat to kind of say, see, everybody's good. Gotcha.
Right, because like if you got 20 different boats out there, I'm sure there's 20 GPSs on each boat. Because I think there was other people saying that people be stealing boats. I mean, it's the same thing like a car. I don't have a boat, but I'm understanding the logic behind of it. But if they didn't have, like I said, if they didn't have a GPS on that black boat, he was probably on one of those boats. And then the CTO call, like, I mean, this is crazy. It's so crazy. Like I'm understand, like because of the internet, I'm learning things from a different perspective because of this internet. And I'm like, I see how they trying to use the attorneys and then all. I'm like, oh, this is a complete play. So it's a sad story, but we already know what time it is. We already know what time it is. We know what time it is already with this. He was on that boat, and they allegedly, probably, likely did something to him. And because one of the boats wasn't being tracked, that was their play to probably get him back to the island when they was trying to search for him. It's the tracking. When you can't track a boat, anything's possible.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Tim. We appreciate first-time callers. I know you said on your GPS, if you don't pay your car note, that they're going to come looking for you. We want you to pay that car. All right.
Use a little bit of logic to it. I had to use a little bit of logic to it because it's the same type of thing. But yeah, thank you so much.
All right. That's Tim, everybody. Tim, we're gonna make sure you say pay the car note because we don't want to hear about no GPS tracking now when it come to your car. All right, y'all. Any other callers? We're gonna wrap up the show. Vonda, I see you came back. Oh, hold on. T, I'm gonna bring you in. T, welcome. What are your thoughts?
Oh, wow. Can you hear me, Queen?
Yep,
Let me
you're good
pause
to
the
go.
TV. Oh, this is my first time calling any of this. And I'm going to try to make it really quick. But I was just sitting here and it's just bugging me. One, let me start from this video today. Why did the attorney come on that interview with the demeanor of Tristan from the first interview? That's number one. Because when it first came on, I thought that's who that was. But it wasn't. So I didn't even understand why he was mimicking or I don't know, just like it's like he had his whole demeanor, his look and everything. And I don't know why that was. And then my other question was, or my other thought was, on this island, were there no sisters? Every boat had maybe one black friend, male friend. There was no female black sisters out there on this island, out of all the hundreds of people out there. There was no individual black families, group families. I was thinking about that. And then I was just looking at some of the pictures as the pictures have been surfacing. And I'm like, why does it look like these people are posing for pictures, but not really posing for that particular picture. And then that one where they were calling the fake Nolan, I said, that's real convenient that there would be someone almost his height, same color shorts, and then have him staged in a walk and someone's taking that picture from a distance. And then for that lady to come out and say, oh, that's a friend of my son's. It just gives me an eerie feeling about Ocean Springs. And my other thing is what I did not like about what that attorney said. He said, this is America's finest right here. I think he said something to that degree. And I'm thinking Nolan was somebody's finest too. He was America's finest as well too. And I just felt like, and then they want to say it's not racial, but when you make comments like that, it diminishes who he was as a young black man. It diminishes who he was as a person. And and so I just want us as black people and anybody, any race, just be careful how you speak against other black people, because racism is real and they're getting more and more clever with how they're carrying it out. And I've just been watching this. Thank you so much for your coverage. Continue your focus if you can. And all your content creators, I don't care what they say about you guys. I don't care if you get paid or don't get paid. If it was not for you, this would be in the dark. If it was not for social media, and I don't have a platform, I don't do any of social media, I'm not on Facebook or nothing, but I would not have known this story because I care about my nephews. I care about, I care about I just care about other people's sons. And so this town is just very eerie to me, the way in which the corruption, it seems, it's how it appears. And what we're seeing with our eyes is actually what they're doing. And we have to brace ourselves. It may not go in our favor, but I still give God the glory. There's something that's going to come out of this, because that audio, we have to keep our mind focused on that audio, because that was a gift and we need to make sure, because I heard what I heard and I don't have no bad hearing.
All right.
So thank you so much for your coverage, Queen.
All right. That's T. Very well stated. Let's go to the next caller. Lord Footage. Welcome, Lord Footage. What are your thoughts? Welcome to the live stream.
Hi, thank you. How you doing?
Good, good. What are your thoughts on this whole debacle?
Yeah. Well, I got other leads and stuff, but I just stick to this topic right here. So the guy that had his arms folded, that's their lawyer.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, to me, he looked like the guy that's in the swimming pool with them that's older than everybody. And all he did was shaved his mustache.
Mm.
Yeah, and his beard. And that's why he holding his head down and hiding, because he don't want to get a good view of him. He was the one that was at that pool party. And so he instructing them all the way through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you go, yeah, look at him and then go look at that pool party guy. And then on top of that, as far as them leaving, yeah, they left. It's a guy in the back of that boat. You know where they got the picture where the three girls walking and they tried to say that was Nolan, but it wasn't. But it's three girls and one of them looking back.
Keep
You
going.
know? Yeah. So if you zoom in on that picture to the far right, that boat them guys on is taking off, and it's a guy in the back of the boat with his arms up in the air. I zoomed in; it looked just like him. So
Wow.
I think he'd been around them all this time.
Okay.
That lawyer, yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thank you, Lord Footage. We're definitely, listen, y'all feel free to go back and take a look at some of the footage that he's talking about. Vonda, you got 30 seconds. What are your final thoughts? Come off mute, Vonda, and mute the television.
Okay, yes, you always got to remind me that. You know what I want to pitch out to our peoples? You know what's so crazy is what is meant for bad is always when you guard people, the truth will come out. Tatum's interviews, what he meant to cover up and protect them, has now opened up where we can see what's really going on. And this is a cautionary tale to all my peoples. You senior kids, lambs amongst these wolves. I say a fox or whatever. I can tell you a story how I have I have a story like like the you know how like Snow White story. You send them out. Say it's a lake, and uh all the oh my God. All the animals come to this lake. The turtle tells their kid to go in after a certain time of night and don't play with the wolf children after a certain time of night. The deer children, they have their kids. They all, but we have a like a mutual ground we all go to, and the kids can play at that time. But they all the ones who's praised and predators, the praise, the the prey kind of people will be don't play with these kids after night. And then you got a kid that says, I'm gonna oh they love me. Oh mama, that I can go amongst the wolf children and play with them. And they said, no, baby, come home after a certain time of night. You can't play with them no more because the instinct of them are predators and to eat you. And there is a certain sect of black people who say they all right. But the instinct and DNA in this, they're predators and they're killers. And you don't correct your child and say they'll never be your friend like you think, baby.
All right.
I don't know none of these niggas. The thing is, in life, that's how it go with me. We don't talk, I don't know nothing about nothing. So
All right, let's go to the next caller. 86 Chevy, welcome to the live stream. What are your thoughts?
How you doing, Queen? I just had a question to ask. I'm just kind of confused. What was the urgency on the 4th of July for Warren to hurry up and get off the island? We don't pop firecrackers till it get dark. They had been planning this all these, for weeks, he said. One is, one of his other interviews. What was the urgency? What did he see that he had to hurry up and get off the island that they didn't trigger the boat to start sinking? And then he come home and now he's the spokesperson for this whole ordeal. I'm just kind of confused of what was the urgency at round 4 or something to hurry up and get off the island on the 4th of July. That's the day you party all the way up to the sun. Just something I had to throw out there. That's it.
No, absolutely. That's an excellent point by 86 Chevy. All of a sudden, these kids are tearing ass from the island. Why? That's a really good question. Thank you, 86 Chevy, for calling in. Y'all, that will conclude today's show. We appreciate all of you that were able to call in and share your thoughts openly. Listen, everybody's welcome, as you can see. Honey, we never know what we're going to get over here. But that's an excellent question. What spiked or sparked the urgency to get the hell out of Dodge and establish an alibi? I left at 4:30. CDB, thank you for the $10 super sticker. You said, Queen, check your DM on Instagram. Oh, Cajun Navy. Hold on. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can grab them and nab them and share real quick. All right. Hold on. You said Sierra? Oh my God. Let me see. Whoa, wait. Hold on. Nah, that's a Yamaha 250. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I see what you sent, and I don't want to post it just in case it's somebody else's, but she sent me a picture of a black boat. That's a Yamaha, right? The boat that we're talking about, you're close. The black boat that we're talking about is this one. Hold on. Give me 1 second, and then we're out of here for real. Well, actually, I don't know. Let's see. The boat that we're talking about that's in question in the missing persons report is a tide craft. Hold on. Let's see something. Watch this. Let me see something. Hold on. So the boat that you sent me is a Yamaha. That's why I don't want to show it, just in case it's somebody else's. But Bart's boat, or the boat that Bart is reporting, is a Tidecraft 2020 model. Oh, y'all. A Tidecraft is almost like a motor. There was another boat. It looks like there's like this rubber looking boat that's a Tidecraft. It's a motorized, I don't know. It's just weird. But that's the boat that's listed in the missing persons report. And the Triton, as you can see right here, that Grandpa owns, the 2000. Now there was two Tritons out there. Was it not? No. I have to go back and listen. Look, there was a Palm Beach, there was a Triton, and then there was a Tidecraft. That's black. I need to go back and look. But I think I'm right. But the Cajun Navy shows 4. But the point is, feel free to comb through the public evidence and the public information yourselves. It's out there. It's not a secret. It's free, especially for those of you that are masters on the water, and see what you can come up with on your own. All of the information is in there. Okay? Now, remember, we all tend to have confirmation bias. We see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Until later, I will see you soon.